SportsCenter update.
The Nashville Predators are back in action this evening against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coverage begins at 5:30, puck drop at 6:30 here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And Predators forward Matthew Shane joined Chase and Michelle prior to tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to score with them. We're going to have to defend really well because they're such a good offensive team. So, yeah, I mean, it should be a fun game. Like I said, they're so great offensively that we got to be on our best behavior with the puck.
And Lance Hornby of the Toronto Sun reports this morning that Austin Matthews will not be playing against the Predators this evening and is currently day-to-day with an injury. And the Buffalo Bills released an update on Damar Hamlin, and he has now been discharged from the Buffalo General Medical Center. And now, after a week and a half, he will be heading home. I'm Nick Gieser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Game Nashville studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Boy, I tell you, I'm doing outstanding. Let me say this. We have got a loaded show. You know, I hate when people do this when they're like, here's what's coming up on today's show. But I'm actually so excited about what we have today. We will have the self-assessment, the self-evaluation of Jared Stillman's Titans takes this year. We will do that. TD will be here for an early TD Power Hour. Jared versus Joe. Gosh, I'm so excited about that. You know what's funny is I tried to watch a little college basketball last night. I mean, you talk about watching paint dry. That's what college basketball's turned into. When I was a kid, I mean, as soon as football was over, it was like, all right, time to talk about college basketball. Bruce Pearl was at Tennessee. Vandy had some good teams. Florida had Billy Donovan. Kentucky was always okay. Now, some of these teams are still good. Tennessee's top 5 team. It's just a total freaking snoozer. And all people want to talk about football, 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 football. And I'm right there with you. And I want to start with this today, which is I hear a lot of people talking. And by a lot of people talking, I mean our morning show, our mid-morning show, and our midday show. And I hear a lot of talk about people saying, you know, it's time to move on from Tannehill. I keep hearing that over and over again. I keep hearing it's time to move on from Tannehill. And I'm going to say in response to that, what I normally don't like when it comes to firing coaches or general managers or, you know, athletic directors or whatever, when someone goes, well, if you fire that average coach, who are you going to get that's any better? Because that's what people will say when it comes to any kind of coach that stinks it up. It's either, well, it's not the coach's fault the players aren't playing well. First of all, yes, it is. That's the coach's only job. Number two, it's always like, well, who are you going to get? And when it comes to Tannehill, for everybody out there that wants to move off of Ryan Tannehill, my question to you is, who are you realistically going to get? I am not against the idea of moving off of Ryan Tannehill if you can get me Tom Brady. If you can get me Brady, if you can get me Rodgers, if you can get me Lamar Jackson, then I will be interested in moving off of Ryan Tannehill. I think everybody would understand that, maybe even including Ryan Tannehill. But if your options outside of Tannehill to move off of Tannehill are what's currently out there, that would be what the old GM would say is swapping spit. I'll give you an example of how this is a direct comparison. Right now, off the top of my head, I've come up with 5 quarterbacks who will be available, and including Tannehill, so he's part of the 5, but he's your quarterback. So right now, we know Derek Carr is going to be available because the Raiders have already said he's not our future. They've already benched him. We all know they're probably trying to go get Tom Brady and so on and so forth. So Carr is going to be available. Matt Ryan is going to be available out of Indianapolis. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be available. Guys, Jimmy Garoppolo's not that good. He's got the best coach for quarterbacks maybe in the NFL. And Baker Mayfield is going to be available. And the Titans and everybody else had a shot at Baker Mayfield this offseason, and they weren't interested. So let's use Derek Carr as the example. Ryan Tannehill. So you can maneuver the number however you want. The cap hit is $36 million. Remember that. You want to move off of Tannehill. Let's say you want to move on to Derek Carr. If you decide to do that, you are passing up the $27 million with Tannehill. You still have to pay $18 million in the quote-unquote dead cap money. And now you're taking on Derek Carr's salary of $32 million. So you just went from $36 million against your fake cap for Derek Carr for Ryan Tannehill to $50 million against your fake cap for Derek Carr. Does anybody think that's a good idea? And when we go back to when Floyd used to call it swapping spit, over their entire careers, and they've both been quarterbacks in the NFL for about a decade, over their entire careers, Ryan Tannehill has a passer rating of 91.9. Derek Carr has a passer rating of 91.8. So you want to move off of Ryan Tannehill because that's too much money to pay $36 million, really $27 in base salary, $27 million to a quarterback in a league in which the going rate for a starting quarterback is $45 million. You think it's too much to pay $27 million, so instead you want to pay $32 million for a guy who is literally just as good as him. That doesn't make a lot of sense. What about Matt Ryan? You want to go down the path of Matt Ryan? So old man Matt Ryan struggles in Atlanta, and they wonder, is it him? Is he too old? Is his prime over? Or is it because the Falcons are rebuilding and they're not that good? Indianapolis gets him. Everybody thinks all of a sudden they're getting the 2016 version of Matt Ryan. And so on you go with Matt Ryan. You're going to have to pay him about $20 million. So you're taking the $18 million dead cap hit for Tannehill and the $20 million that it's going to cost for Matt Ryan. And so now you're sitting there at about $38 million, which is two more than you were with Tannehill. Now let me ask this question. Who would you rather have, Matt Ryan or Tannehill? You know the answer. Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo, an average starting quarterback. I'm sure some people would think that Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Tannehill. I'm not one of those people. But if you're going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo, you're going to have to give him a multi-year deal. He's not taking a one-year deal. So you're going to have to give Jimmy Garoppolo a multiple-year deal. So now you're going to have to 3-4 years for Jimmy G. Let me ask you a question. How did Jimmy Garoppolo do with the best offensive coach in the NFL? He had McCaffrey. He had Debo. He had Kittle. He had Brandon Ayuk. How'd he do? He was fine. He was so valuable to that team that when he got hurt, the same team that's trying to get rid of him, that when he got hurt, they put in the last pick in the NFL draft, and that guy played just as well, if not better than he did. So you're going to move off of Ryan Tannehill for a guy who can't flourish under Kyle Shanahan. Matt Ryan, another guy we're not interested in this discussion, Matt Ryan was league MVP with Kyle Shanahan. Jimmy can't do that because Jimmy ain't that good. Then there's Baker Mayfield. Nobody wanted Baker Mayfield this summer. Cleveland didn't want to keep him, even though they knew they weren't going to have a quarterback probably all season or at least for the first 3 months. Seattle, who had Geno Smith, they didn't want him. Indianapolis, who didn't have a quarterback, they didn't want him. Atlanta didn't want him. Nobody wanted Baker Mayfield. Finally, Carolina made a deal in which Baker took a pay cut, Cleveland ate some of the money, and they brought him aboard. And within a month, he was on the bench. He goes and he plays for Sean McVay. He has a couple of nice games on TV against bad teams, and now everybody's in on Baker Mayfield. You really think Baker Mayfield is going to fit with Mike Vrabel? You're going to go after Baker Mayfield. You're going to have to probably give him some real money. So you're still going to take your $18 million dead cap charge for you all out there that believe in the salary cap. You're going to take your $18 million dead cap charge, and then you're going to have to pay Baker Mayfield real money, and then you're going to have to put up with his attitude. How do you think Baker Mayfield would have handled this season if he was the quarterback of the Titans? Bad offensive coordinator, bad offensive line, no receivers. You think Baker would have had the Mike Vrabel attitude? So unless you can get me Tom Brady or Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers, there's no reason to move off of Ryan Tannehill. And there's certainly no reason to move off of Ryan Tannehill until you've gotten that guy. There's no reason to say you've got Tannehill under contract for next year. And let's say Brady calls up Vrabel at the start of free agency and says, I want to be a Tennessee Titan. And they hammer out a deal. Well, now you can get rid of Tannehill. Now you can trade Tannehill. And I do think there would be a taker out there for Tannehill because I don't think he's that bad. And I thought he had a nice season. But when I just hear people that just throw their hands in the air and they say, time to move off of Tannehill, I'm reminded of one time when there was a rumor that Washington was going to trade Kirk Cousins to San Francisco. And I remember telling Floyd, hey, did you hear the rumor? Washington's going to trade Kirk Cousins to San Francisco. And he looked at me and he goes, well, then who's Washington's quarterback going to be? I go, I don't know. And he chuckled and was like, yeah, no, they're not going to do that. And they didn't. Because you have to have a quarterback. And right now you do have a quarterback. And all the other quarterbacks that you can get are what we would call swap and spit. Now, if one of these franchise guys says, I hate it here, I'm not signing back with the Chargers, Justin Herbert, now it's a different conversation. But that's not very likely. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I just felt like addressing that because I hear all these people that are like, it's time to move off of Tannehill. And move to what? To what? To Carr? And pay more money for a quarterback who's got a 91.8 rating compared to your quarterback with a 91.9 rating? To old man Matt Ryan? To crappy Jimmy G? To bad attitude Baker Mayfield? 615-737-1025. I have a lot of respect for David Beauclair. But I heard this morning on Robbie and Rex Road, and I don't think he's the only one that thinks the way that he thinks. I heard a plan for the Titans that I could not believe. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, rocking and rolling, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here. And football fans, call your own plays during the NFL playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because when you bet NFL same-game parlays from now through January 16th, all customers can get up to $100 in free bets, win or lose. All you have to do is place a total of $20 or more on NFL, SGP, or SGP Plus bets during the wild card round. The more you bet, the more you'll get back in free bets. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a larger payday. So, for instance, I like the Bengals to take down the Ravens. I like Joe Burrow over on touchdown passes, and I like Jamar Chase as an anytime touchdown scorer. But you take it any way you want to take it. Build your own or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, you can also get up to $100 in free bets, win or lose, when signing up with promo code ROB. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is not withdrawable free bets and expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet of $100. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Do you take pride in your work? Do you want to help build Nashville? You need to join Ironworkers Local 492. They build Nashville, working on everything from steel erection on buildings and bridges, plant maintenance, concrete, reinforcing, conveyor work, sheeting, welding, rigging, fence erecting, curtain wall, window wall, and a variety of other specialty work. They provide the best skilled iron workers for contractors and projects in Nashville. If you want to build Nashville, you want to be proud of doing it, visit ironworkers492.org. Join Ironworkers Local 492.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and
sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungeredInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you optimistic that Ryan will be your starting quarterback next year?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of guys here that are under contract. We have a lot of guys that want Ryan to get as healthy as he possibly can, and then go and be our quarterback and figure out things that are going to help us win. And then that's the case for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are that are under contract that finish the season not out there. So let's get everybody healthy and let's see where everybody's at, and then we can make some decisions.
So you don't feel comfortable right now committing to Ryan as the starter for next year?
Well, I mean, he's our starting quarterback. If he was healthy, he's our starting quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's all I can tell you. And right now, there's a lot of guys that aren't healthy and that didn't finish the game. I mean, I think we're going to talk a lot of hypotheticals 2 days after our last game. So, happy to talk a lot about things that I can answer, but I can't answer things that are in the future.
It is too hypothetical to ask, will Ryan Tannehill be my starting quarterback next season? Right. But what Vrabel did with that is he basically half committed to Tannehill, half not committed to Tannehill. Ian, would you consider that to be a commitment to Tannehill or a not commitment to Tannehill?
I wouldn't call it a commitment, so I'll rule that one out. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a non-commitment either. I mean, he's kind of like half toeing the line there.
He really is. Now, he did a good job because normally when a coach is not sure if the guy is the starting quarterback, the coach gets up there and says, well, he's our starting quarterback right now. Vrabel tried to get out of that when Terry McCormick asked the first question about optimistic about Tannehill, pretending that this ankle sprain was going to be something that would be a long-term injury, that they wouldn't be able to decide if he's going to be the quarterback or not, and I wasn't going to let that fly. Now, let me say this. I have a ton of respect for David Beauclair, and what I'm about to say has nothing to do with how I feel about David Beauclair as a professional and how I feel about him as a guy. But I heard him on Robbie and Rexro this morning, and he was talking crazy. In fact, I think a lot of people think what he said this morning. Like, I think they think it. And so I just want to address it. Again, I love David Beauclair. I don't want David to think this is personal. I think that this is a bad Titan take. And he was asked by Joe and Robbie, do the Titans kind of bring it back and give it another crack with this group, or do they bring it back in? Here's what David Beauclair said.
To use a poker analogy, if you're playing Texas Hold'em, right, you're you're down to the river and you're still chasing the flush, right? The chances of you getting the flush now are pretty slim. You know, this group made its run in 2019, had 2 good seasons behind it, but, you know, has gotten kind of farther away each year from getting to the Super Bowl and doing anything like that. I think it's time to make some wholesale changes. I think you cut Taylor Lewan. I think you cut Ryan Tannehill. You probably cut Bud Dupree, and you know, you free up as much salary cap money as you can, and you go at this thing with a different approach.
Okay, so he's saying right there, you cut Lewan, you cut Dupree, you cut Tannehill, and there you. And first of all, I'm like, whoa, we're lumping Tannehill in with Bud Dupree and Taylor Lewan. Like, to me, Zach Cunningham, Taylor Lewan, Bud Dupree, and Robert Woods are all gone, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. Woods maybe if he takes a pay cut. But Lewan's gone, Dupree's gone, and Cunningham is gone. And there's no second thought about it. So, I mean, that to me, that's crazy talk. But then, if you're going to move off of Tannehill, and you're not getting Tom Brady, and you're not getting Aaron Rodgers, and you're not getting Lamar Jackson, and instead you're going to try to piece it together, are you going to be competitive? This was David Beauclair this morning on the Robbie and Rex Road program.
And I wouldn't consider moving up to get a quarterback. No, I think what we have seen the last few years with the quarterback market is that, you know, you can find somebody, whether it's trading almost nothing to get a Ryan Tannehill or you know, picking up a Baker Mayfield or.
Are you thinking that this team that this approach that you're talking about, David, could actually still be a competitive team?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you look at what they did this year, right? I mean, you've got a defense that's not going to give up a whole lot of points. Particularly, you put Harold Landry back there again with that group, and if you plug in one cornerback or maybe Caleb Farley, maybe the light finally comes on for him, right? I mean, you don't. All you need to do is you don't even need a defense to be scoring 30 points a game. If you can get a defense that's scoring 20 to 27 a game, or an offense that's scoring 20 to 27 a game, and your defense does the same sorts of things it did this year, you know, you're gonna be in the playoff hunt down the stretch again.
You were in the playoff hunt this year. I mean, I love David, but you're sitting there telling me, hey, I think this team can be competitive next year. I think you get Harold Landry back and you just add a couple of pieces on defense and you can be right there. So then why am I getting rid of the quarterback? Why am I getting rid of the quarterback to go to Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield? So I'm getting rid of my quarterback, and I'm taking an $18 million dead cap charge. And again, the cap's fake, but like that is real. That money that Amy Adams has already spent, that's real. So I'm taking an $18 million dead cap charge on Tannehill. So my owner is paying $18 million for Tannehill for me to move to Baker Mayfield, who's going to want at least 25 or 30 million bucks. So now I'm paying more money to the quarterback. And am I getting better? And not only that, we have to account for the fact that it is not seamless for a quarterback to leave a team that he is familiar with and go to the next team and there not be some sort of growing pains, especially with a new coordinator. Denver, anybody? So, I mean, I love David Beauclair, but what you're telling me it's time to get rid of Lewan, fine. The guy's never healthy. You cannot pay 14, 15 million bucks to somebody who's never healthy. It's time to get rid of Bud Dupree. Again, 19 million bucks to somebody who's never healthy. Fine. It's time to get rid of Tannehill. Tannehill's going to make $27 million next year. The going rate for a quarterback who is any good starts at 35 million bucks. It starts there. Kyler Murray, I think, stinks, and he's going to get $46 million. So this idea that you're going to move off of Tannehill and then still go get another quarterback like Baker Mayfield and have a shot to compete for the playoffs, you were already doing that now. I don't get it. Sometimes I think people just want change. They just want to change the quarterback. I'm fine with changing the quarterback if you're getting me Tom Brady. I'm fine with changing the quarterback if you're getting me Lamar Jackson. And if you get Lamar Jackson, almost everything about this team changes. Literally almost everything on the offensive side of the ball. But I'm not moving off my quarterback to just, and I hear this all the time, Tannehill makes too much money. We need to spend that money on the offensive line. You can't do this without a quarterback. The idea that you could build a team without a quarterback, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I keep hearing people are treating Tannehill like he is some bum, like he's Mariota. I thought Tannehill had a pretty good year this year. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. That was the biggest Tannehill hater in the town last year. And I said this before the season. I said, look, I'm going to give him a fair crack this year. Fair shake. Caroline defined it as forgive, but not forget what happened in that Cincinnati game. People telling me they're going to move off of Tannehill. I think they should go with Derek Carr. All right, well, for you people out there that believe in the salary cap, if you do that, Carr's salary is $32 million. So now you're going with a cap hit instead of $36 million at the quarterback spot. You're going with a cap hit of $50 million for a quarterback who is 1/10 of a rating point behind Ryan Tannehill. 1/10 of a point. And you're going to take on an extra $14 million against your phony baloney cap. That's not a very good idea. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your phones. Or, excuse me, we'll get into your phones. 615-737-1025. Plus, I hear your complaints. And I do feel like your complaints should make you pro Ryan Tannehill. I'll explain. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love those guys. Hiller's been taking care of my home for 4 years. It's actually about to be 5. I bought my first home in 2018. And when I did, I went right with my friends at Hiller. And they have never steered me wrong. And they will never steer you wrong. I know that. They're proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. You see their logos all over the courts, the fields, the ice, everywhere. Kick off the new year with upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize, like a free 55-inch TV, an Apple iPad, a Solo stove, or a Nintendo Switch when you purchase a new whole home generator or select new HVAC systems. Get a free 55-inch Nintendo Switch or a Solo stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of your necessary home replacements than right now. So let my friends at Hiller do that for you. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. You know I love them. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with the shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
For the love of Tennessee at dawn. For the love of the fight. For the love of having nowhere else you'd rather be. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, January 11th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday, 615-576-5000.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello,
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Petty Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Aaron's 40, Brady's 45. How many years you got in the tank, you think?
I definitely have some good years left. You know, I feel really good, even coming off this injury. I feel really good and looking forward to some bright years ahead.
Ryan Tannehill thinks he's still got something in the tank. He wants to come back. That was him the other day. And it's crazy because I was so anti-Tannehill this time last year after the season wrapped up. And now I feel like I'm the one who's out there defending Ryan Tannehill and defending his spot on this team. But I take all your phone calls. I get all your text messages. I hear your tweets. And the one thing I've always said about this program, that no matter what people think about me, is I think this program is always fair. When John Hines turned the Predators around at the end of the 2021 season, we gave him credit for that. We did. I still don't think he can coach, but we did. That's what we've done. Guys who stink, I don't have any problem with any. They stink because they stink. So Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, after getting all of your texts, all of your tweets, all of your calls, Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, had a pretty good season this year, all things considered. But all the things you guys yell and scream about, Todd Downing, he's the worst coordinator. They have got to fire Todd Downing. They did. Presumably, there will be a new coordinator that will come in next year. This offensive line is so bad, we've got to do whatever it takes to reboot the offensive line. It is so awful, Jared. They've got to do something about it. Well, they've already fired the offensive line coach, and I've got a pretty good feeling that they're going to fix the offensive line. There's actually some decent guards out there in free agency. It would not surprise me to see the Titans go buy one. So they're going to have to fix the line. Oh, Jared, John Robinson was so bad, and this team had no receivers, and A.J. Brown's not here anymore, and Traylon Burks is always hurt, and they never play Chigakonkwo. They always play Jeff Swaim, and it's so bad, the pass catchers, and I don't disagree with a lot of that. So, if the coordinator is terrible, and you guys yell and scream about him, and the line is terrible, and you guys yell and scream about that, and they fired the line coach, and the receivers are terrible, don't you think Ryan Tannehill deserves the benefit of the doubt on that? I mean, I'm not, am I talking crazy here? That I think Ryan Tannehill had an okay season this year. I really do. I think Tannehill played fine. I don't think there were a lot of games where he was great, But I think I thought he was much better this year than he was last year, which means he's had 4 seasons as the Titans quarterback. 3 have been good. 1 was terrible. It's unfortunate that the one that was terrible was when the team was probably the best that they were. But don't you think Ryan Tannehill deserves the opportunity to play with a good coordinator and good receivers and a good offensive line? Because, again, I'm a big cause and effect guy. When Ryan Tannehill had a good offensive coordinator, his statistics were eerily similar to Joe Montana. When Ryan Tannehill's had Todd Downing, he hasn't been very good. When they traded away A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill got worse. With this offensive line that was in front of him, with a 276-pound left guard and a rookie right tackle, with this team that was out there and a backup left tackle, I thought, all things considered, Tannehill actually played okay. So don't you think he deserves the chance? And if you retain Tannehill, and again, you all look at these cap numbers like they matter, they can finagle that $36 million cap number however they want to finagle it. It'll be fine. But Ryan Tannehill's put up with a lot of crap around here. And I just hear all these people, they're like, nope, I've learned my lesson on Tannehill. Time to move off on Tannehill, even though you were more mad about the coordinator, the receivers, and the line this year. Think that one through. Phones are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. I want to get to this text first because it stood out to me. This comes from LD in McMinnville. LD says, what exactly do you expect to happen if the Titans run it back with Tannehill? Division champions, playoff one and done. Awesome. Hang a regular season championship banner. That comes from LD in McMinnville. Let me just ask this question. What do you think the Minnesota Vikings are expecting right now? The Minnesota Vikings are the 3 seed, I believe, in the NFC. They host the Giants this weekend. I don't know what the spread is on that game. I'm going to guess Minnesota's probably a 3-point favorite, but I could be wrong. But even though I don't think Minnesota's going to win the Super Bowl, I think in Minnesota, they're really excited. That's the team that you should be like, Minnesota. Get your way into the dance. Hope you're a little healthy. Get a couple of better players, and then see what you can do. This team went on the road to Kansas City with a quarterback that couldn't throw and went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. If you get better as a football team and you actually get an offensive line and you get a receiver to help out Tannehill and he plays in that kind of game, you might be able to win it. Football's different than these other sports. It drives me crazy that people don't understand how different football is. I think right now, the 2 best teams in the NFL, the 2 teams that I think are going to go to the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Those are the 2 teams that I think are the hottest right now, who I trust the most in the playoffs, where I like either the quarterback or I like the coach or whatever it may be. Those 2 teams could be eliminated this time next week. I thought a couple years ago, the year that the Titans went to the AFC Championship game, I thought that the 2 best teams were Kansas City and New Orleans. Kansas City went on to the Super Bowl, and they won it. New Orleans got knocked out by Kirk Cousins in Minnesota in the first round at home. Nobody thought Tom Brady and the Buccaneers were going to win the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Nobody thought San Francisco was going to go on the road in the snow last year and beat Green Bay. Football's different, man. Football is more like the NCAA basketball tournament than it is like hockey, the NBA, or even baseball. Now, baseball's different because of pitching and all of those kind of things. It's just different. Luther's up next. Luther, thank you for waiting. Go ahead.
Hey, Jared, I think the reason why we as Titans fans are asking this question are pretty frustrated is the biggest example that we have from the 2020 season. When everything was set up for us as a 1 seed against the Bengals, and we threw 3 picks. I think that's the last thing that we all remember. And I think the question is, say we put the defensive line together. Say we put a better offensive line around him. Say we get another receiver and tight end if we, get rid of Robert Woods or Austin Hooper or vice versa. If you can get those pieces, is Tannehill the guy going to be able to lead you to a Super Bowl? That's the biggest question we have.
So I would have a bad question, Luther, because I do not believe, thank you for your call, I do not believe that Ryan Tannehill can lead you to the Super Bowl. The path that it will take you to get there, you'll have, at least two of those three in order to get there. So I hear you. With Tannehill at quarterback. And if it's not them, then it'll be Herbert or it'll be somebody new in this AFC. The AFC is loaded. But I don't think it's so much more, can Tannehill do it, as much as it is, can Derek Carr do it? Can Matt Ryan do it? Can Baker Mayfield do it? Can Jimmy G do it? As I've said, I will move off of Ryan Tannehill if it means I get to move on to Tom Brady. That I'm fine with. But I just think that the way the league works, and a lot of people have a hard time accepting this, I think the way the NFL works is I think that you have about 6 elite quarterbacks in the league, and everybody else is good enough that are legitimate starting quarterbacks. And then some guys are not even really starting quarterbacks anymore. Carson Wentz, I don't think he's really a starting quarterback anymore. Matt Ryan, I don't think he's a starting quarterback anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he's right there on the edge. But Tannehill is absolutely a starting quarterback in this league. Tannehill's right there with Dak Prescott. He's right there with Kirk Cousins. He's right there with Mac Jones. He's right. All those guys, they're all in that same group. I still think Jalen Hurts is in that group. I'm not putting him in there with Justin Herbert. I think Trevor Lawrence is in that group. I mean, we all saw the game the other night. Trevor Lawrence did not outplay Josh Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs is a backup. So when you ask me, can Tannehill take us to the Super Bowl? I don't think so. But I don't think Carr can. I don't think Matt Ryan can. I don't think Jimmy G can. I don't think Sam Darnold can. I don't think Baker Mayfield can. So unless you're going to give me Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, you're probably not going to have a guy that you look at and say, I feel confident you can get me to the Super Bowl. Chase, you're in there. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. You're a Cowboy fan. Do you think Dak Prescott can get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl? Gives me a thumbs up. I mean, I think Prescott is right there with Tannehill. The only reason why I think Tampa's going to win this weekend, because of Dak. Because he ain't Tom Brady. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Titans are going to be interviewing general manager candidates, and we know some of those names. And to me, there is one quality that I am looking for in these general manager candidates. It's the most important thing. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company. Hey, the Predators have a game tomorrow night, and it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you will win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate in Pick to Click tomorrow morning at 8:45 with Robbie and Rexroad.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Matich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? This is Terron Davenport here for Superbook Sports, and I want you to add this to your New Year's resolution. Win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you'll get the best odds anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, check out the special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sports app now and place your bets. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try some of our new menu items like the Nashville Hot Fish and Chips, Nathan's Hot Dog Burn Ends, or the Nashville Chicken Jam Band. Go Preds.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
We're Cromwell Media, and if you work here, you're family, and that means a lot. Dagwood has been our morning host on 102.9 The Buzz for 24 years. For Christy Maffett on our sales team, that means 23 years of service. Haley St. John, also an on-air talent on 102.9 The Buzz, is celebrating 10 years. Shannon Sanders, the architect behind 102.1 The Ville, joined our team 5 years ago. Charlotte Simmons, who works on our corporate team, has been with us for 3 years. Want to be part of our amazing Cromwell family? Contact us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
They're insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams lose. I don't want college football to be the NFL. When they get...
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Who's the best NFL comp for Levis, you think, Mel?
The way he snaps it off from the ear, Max, I'll go Troy Aikman. By the time we get to late April, he's going to be in the mix to be the number one pick overall. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Will Levis, mark it down when we talk in early April, he will be a guy we're discussing very high, maybe number one overall.
I know that Mel Kiper Jr. cut is going to piss people off. The idea that, you all saw Will Levis at Kentucky, and Mel Kiper Jr. is just sitting there, and he's like, I think he reminds me of Troy Aikman. Now, I'm not the biggest Troy Aikman guy in the world, but if you told me that Troy Aikman was sitting there on the board with the 11th overall pick in this year's upcoming draft, or that the Titans could trade up to 7 and draft Troy Aikman, I would take it. Now, I'm not convinced that Will Levis is going to be Troy Aikman either, but I'm just saying if he is, I would take Will Levis. And the reason I bring this up, there's some news out there on the Titans GM search front. Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, is reporting, quote, I'm not even going to read the beginning part of this tweet because it is total kiss ass on the part of Rappaport. 49ers assistant general manager Adam Peters has declined requests to interview with the Titans and the Arizona Cardinals per source. Well, the fact that these guys tweet this crap is so embarrassing. The beginning of the Rappaport tweet was one of the most coveted general manager candidates. And then the second part of the tweet, after saying that Adam Peters is not going to interview with the Titans or the Cardinals, there's a space, and then it is While Peters has great respect for those organizations, his focus is on supporting the 49ers during their playoff run. Salute. So is Rand Carthon, the other guy from the 49ers who's interviewing for the job, is Rand Carthon's focus not on the 49ers? There's some reason Adam Peters doesn't want to interview for this job. Either Adam Peters is told, hey man, ownership there is a little cuckoo, or there's a better job down the pipe that's coming for him. One of the two. But here's the most important thing to me. If I owned the team, the most important thing in the next general manager candidate for the Titans is not somebody who's a great innovator. It's not somebody who understands the game perfectly. It's not even somebody who's really a great manager. The most important thing for me is, can you evaluate the quarterback position? I don't think Mike Vrabel can. He never played quarterback. He's never coached quarterbacks. He's never coached the offensive side of the ball. Mike Vrabel made a big point when he got here about talking about how there were positions he couldn't evaluate because he doesn't know what they do. And so I don't think Mike Vrabel, hate to say it, I don't think he's Kyle Shanahan. I don't think that he's Bill Walsh. I don't think he's that guy. So which of these guys, of Malik Boyd, Ian Cunningham, Quentin Harris, Rand Carthon, Glenn Cook, Ryan Cowden, Monty Ossenfort, which one of these guys knows how to evaluate quarterbacks? Because, again, the Titans will be fine with Vrabel as the coach if it is a legitimate collaboration between him and the next general manager. Vrabel will be able to find you enough defensive linemen and tackles and inside backers and pass rushers and DBs. He'll be able to be in the room enough to say, hey, I think that guy can play safety at the NFL level. That I'm comfortable in. But quarterback. Can these guys evaluate quarterbacks? And this is where I do a search on the resume, but this is the hard part. Malik Boyd, for example, who works for the Buffalo Bills. Malik Boyd has been with the Bills since 2017. I think his title is like the Vice President of Pro Personnel. In 2018, the Buffalo Bills drafted Josh Allen. Now, I've done the read-up on how they were able to find Josh Allen, and they really worked hard. I mean, Buffalo, you all talk about, who cares about making the playoffs and getting beat? We need to reset. Buffalo actually made the playoffs and then decided to reset and did whatever it took to get Josh Allen. They scouted all the quarterbacks. They moved up from late in the first round to the middle of the first round, and then they moved up again on draft night to jump up to 7 and draft Josh Allen. And they clearly had Josh Allen evaluated ahead of Josh Rosen. And they needed things to go their way. But they had circled Josh Allen and said, this is our guy. And not only did they know how to find him, but they did a great job evaluating what it would take in order to have Josh Allen become the player that he is today. Which one of these guys can do that? The story of Patrick Mahomes is that Andy Reid, who's not a personnel guy, John Dorsey was the general manager at the time, and Andy Reid was watching film in his office, and Brent Veach, who was a scout at the time, who's now their general manager, Brent Veach walked into Andy Reid's office and said, Coach, I got to show you this junior at Texas Tech. I think he was a sophomore at the time. I got to show you this sophomore at Texas Tech. He's unbelievable. His stats aren't that great. His team doesn't win a lot of games, but I am telling you, you have got to look at this quarterback. And obviously it was Patrick Mahomes. Now Brent Veach is the general manager. Which one of these guys can find you the next quarterback? And it does not have to be in this year's class. If it is, great. But evaluating a quarterback, I think, is the number one job of most general managers in the NFL. But it is absolutely the number one job of this team's general manager. Because again, I've been stumping that Tannehill should return next year. I know Tannehill's not a long-term solution for the Titans. That's why I would laugh when we would talk about Tom Brady and Caroline would say things like, well, but how much longer is Tom Brady going to play? I don't know. How much longer is Ryan Tannehill going to play? I think Tannehill's probably got 2 more years left in him. And I think he's got 1 more year as your starter. But of these guys, of Rand Carthon, of Quentin Harris, of Ian Cunningham, and I believe Ian Cunningham with the Bears, if I'm not mistaken, he was in Philadelphia. And he was part of the group that scouted Jalen Hurts. How do they evaluate the quarterback position? The second thing here is how much do these guys actually do in the places that they currently are? So everybody can have a title. Vice President of Player Personnel. Assistant General Manager of Scouting Personnel. Whatever it is. But how much do they actually do? That was kind of the one benefit about John Robinson, was because I worked with somebody who had worked with John Robinson in New England. I knew exactly how much he did. I knew that he had actually done something. Like, I knew that he was in the room. As I've told you guys, he's the one in New England that stood up on the table for Rob Gronkowski. In spite of the back problems. He believed in Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski's the best tight end in the history of the NFL. That's why I believe John Robinson was so pro-injured players when he was here, because he took the risk. He put his name on the line in New England for Gronk. They drafted him. He became Gronk. And so he looks at all these other guys, whether it's Simmons or Corey Davis or Caleb Farley, and thought, hey, remember how I felt about Gronk? That wasn't always the smartest move, but that's probably how he felt. I don't know how much these guys do. But whichever one knows the most about quarterback evaluation and development, that's the guy I'm most interested in. 615-737-1025. Terron Davenport, TD, is here. An early TD Power Hour this week. We'll get his reactions to everything that he heard, both from Vrabel and the players, everything he's hearing behind the scenes about the Titans. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And be sure to join us tonight at Noble's, located at 974 Main Street in East Nashville, for a Preds away game watch party as the Predators take on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6:30. Come watch the game, get some Preds gear, and also enter to win tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. And it's Wednesday night, and they have Wednesday night specials, including 2-for-1 drafts, wells, and wine, as well as Bud Light buckets for $15. Again, that's Nobles at 974 Main Street in East Nashville.
You watch the game.
Sliding across, making the stop, UC Cerro.
We talk the game.
That wraparound goal by Sanford was a beaut.
Tanner Janot, Ryan Johansson gets on the board.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair on your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, Smashville, join 102.5 The Game and the Nashville Predators Energy Team at Nobles in East Nashville for the official Bud Light Watch Party tonight at 6. There'll be plenty of beer specials, prizes, and chances to win Preds tickets to an upcoming home game. Go Preds!
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is, for the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
So many choices. Be careful. She is dangerously seductive. Tastes too good to be whiskey. Oil Fire Whiskey is now in Tennessee. If they don't have it, ask them to get it or go somewhere else. Oil Fire. There's nothing quite like it.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. The team is looking to build off 4 wins in a row, as they are currently 1 point behind Edmonton for the final playoff spot. Reports out of Toronto are Maple Leafs forward Austin Matthews will not play tonight. We will have pregame coverage at 5:30 with puck drop at 6:30, right here on the Preds Radio Network. The Tennessee Titans off-season interviews continue. NFL Network is reporting that 49ers assistant GM Adam Peters has declined a request to interview for the Titans GM position. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin has been released from the hospital and will continue to rehab at home. And in other NFL playoff news, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson still has not practiced and is considered a long shot to play in the wild card round. And Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators continue their road trip against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coverage begins at 5:30 on your home for Smashville. WPRT FM Pegram, WBUC HD2 Laverne, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. An early edition this week of the TD Power Hour with all the news. Terron Davenport is here, ESPN. TD, I was riding my bike on Saturday morning, and there you were right there on SportsCenter looking fly in Jacksonville. Obviously,
appreciate it.
The season came to an end, but good to see you, TD.
Yeah, no, it's good to be seen. Yeah, that was one I recorded that Thursday, right over
at the stadium.
At the stadium, man. I always love to do that. So yeah, man, it was good to do. But yeah, man, it's good to be seen.
TD, let's start with kind of the big news. What did you think of what you heard Monday? Not just from Vrabel, but also from the players, what they said on the record, and maybe even what you heard a little bit behind the scenes from the players, the fallout of what we've seen with the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of disappointment. Guys are disgusted that the season ended the way it did. I thought, it was almost like a case-by-case thing. But one thing I did gather, guys want to make sure that Jeffrey Simmons gets taken care of and is back. Mm-hmm. I talked to multiple players, and, Kevin Byard, I asked him specifically what Jeffrey Simmons brings to the team. And he, quickly went into the leadership, went into the self-sacrificing that he did, shooting that ankle up for 9 weeks. So that's something I gathered. Josh Dobbs, Ryan Tannehill, they both said that they want to be back. Tannehill, I thought, was interesting, where he said, hey, look, I have plenty of good football left. And he'll be 35 in July. But, I think when you look overall, it's a disappointing feeling that these guys don't win again. Traylon Burks had a good conversation with him just about shifting the training this year, right? Because you're not going to be training for 40s and, all the combine stuff. You're going to train for football. And I asked him what the toughest thing he went through with his rookie year, and he said the injuries. So, he's going to train in order to be better able to withstand that, and go figure. Mike Vrabel in his press conference, what he said about guys doing what they have to do, being a professional football over the next football player over the next 4 months. So generally, it was just guys don't want this feeling again. That's really what I gathered.
What do you make of the fallout with Todd Downing being let go, Keith Carter being let go, Anthony Midget being let go, and I don't know Eric Frazier, but he's offensive assistant specialist. He was let go too. Let's start with Downing. Your thoughts on that? Yeah,
that's something that he knew. He knew it was, and if you talk to him, he kind of knew what was happening.
You could see it on the TV broadcast, and I put this on Twitter, but there was a shot of Josh Dobbs on the bench after the 4th down to Haskins, where they showed Downing, and Downing was over there patting Dobbs on the hip like, hey, good job today. But Downing looks up, and you could just see his eyes, and you could see he was trying to hold it together. He knew.
Yeah, And, in that play, the crazy thing, Traylon Burks was coming open. Just a little bit more time.
Yeah, Troy was not happy. Troy Aikman was not happy with that decision from Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, but, it is what it is. The guy 20 days ago, you know what I mean? Yeah. So what can you say? But, I think, Todd Downing, the main thing that I think – there's 2 things I think that doomed him. Running so much on first down and the adjustments in the second half. 5.5 points per game in the second half. That's what they averaged. Worse in the NFL. Now, is that all on Todd Downing? I'm not going to say that, but, he's the face of the offense. Those were my 2 biggest issues. Mm-hmm. Those 2 things. They just couldn't find – because there was a stretch where they had 5 consecutive games which they scored on the opening drive.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the first time since the Super Patriots teams.
And your point about the second halves was it was every week. It didn't matter who the quarterback was. It's like, they go out there against the Colts. They score 24 points in the first half. They end up not doing anything in the second half. Then they play the Raiders, and they do the exact same thing. And it didn't matter who the quarterback was. Dobbs looked like Joe Montana in the first half Saturday night. Some of those throws he made, I loved.
Dropping the bucket.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And then the second half, and I think Dobbs was a little spooked after the interception, and I think, the hits probably caught up to him a little bit. But it's like every game, it was like, what happened to the first half offense?
Yeah. And that interception, Dobbs, it looked like, I'm not going to say he got hit, but he couldn't really follow through the way he wanted to. That's what Aikman said. Yeah. Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah, so his hand hit the helmet of, I think, Arden Key. Hit Arden Key's helmet as he was coming through, and so he wasn't able – Troy brought that up on the TV broadcast.
Okay. That's one of the things that quarterbacks – that's why a guy like Simmons is so important, because he pushes it back, makes it harder. But speaking of Arden Key, just real quick, did you see that play against Dennis Daly?
Yeah, where he just killed him. Poor Dennis Daly. I do have one thought, though, on the Downing thing. I don't think Vrabel wanted to do that. I don't think Vrabel had a choice. I do not think Vrabel wanted to fire Todd Downing. Like, I think that, the currency of what Vrabel would have burned up if he had brought Todd Downing back. Mm-hmm. I think the fans – Vrabel's the most popular guy in town. And if Vrabel were to bring Downing back,
it's like collateral damage.
Yeah. It's like, plus he's probably looking at a 3 or 4 game suspension to start next season if he's back as the offensive coordinator. So now you're going to have somebody else call plays for 3 or 4 games. I assume ownership probably not happy with the offense. Yeah. So all of the currency that Vrabel would have burned up.
Do you promote Tim Kelly? Like, is that more of just kind of like, you're trading in a whatever to get a newer version of whatever? You know what I mean? So
as Floyd would say, swap and spit.
Could call it that too.
This is my thought on the offensive coordinator thing. Who's quarterback next year?
Oh, Tannehill.
But Vrabel was not overly committal to Tannehill, and they don't have a GM in there.
Right,
so,
he can't.
Right.
He can't commit to anything right now. That's the thing.
Like, that's the thing about the GM position or the offensive coordinator position is that in order to hire an offensive coordinator, I have to know what you want to run. If you're bringing Tannehill and Henry back, then you're going to hire a Shanahan-style offensive coordinator. Like, you're not going to hire Bill O'Brien if you're going to run the Shanahan system. If you're bringing in Tom Brady, you're going to hire Bill O'Brien.
Right, but that's why this GM situation is being tackled first,
Mhm.
right? They've done a great job of reaching out and finding 6 candidates. Now, one of them shot it down, as you mentioned, but in Adam Peters, but they found 6 candidates in addition to the 2 that are here now. I personally think Brian Gardner should be at least interviewed. He's director. I'll find his exact role. I don't want to misquote it, but he's been there for quite some time.
I was talking in the last segment. I think that, whatever somebody's role is, it's so unimportant.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you actually do? The vice president of player personnel for one team might do something completely different.
Yeah, there's different roles. There's different roles.
and-
Director of Pro Scouting, that's Brian Gardner's role. But either way, you got to get that done first, And then you had asked about the offensive line coach, Keith Carter.
I think he got a raw deal.
I do too, but again, it's one of those things where what did Vrabel mention multiple times in that press conference? Got to protect the quarterback better. Got to protect. Now, granted, look, you go from Taylor Lewan to Dennis Daly. That's not the most ideal situation, right? Nate Davis was down for quite some time. Ben Jones missed some games.
Brewer's too skinny.
Brewer was hurt as well. Petit Ferrer hurt at times too, a rookie regardless. So, yeah, I think he probably could have gotten another year to fill that role. Anthony Midget, not all of the DBs in that room, like they weren't all on the same page. I'll put it that way. That one didn't surprise me, just from knowing some of the guys that I talked to. Eric Frazier I thought was interesting because, he was not only an offensive skills assistant, he also worked with the returners a lot. You would see him pregame with Burks and Robert Woods and those guys. That's what he did at Kutztown, Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. Shout out. My conference I came from. But he was another guy that, worked with Rob Moore and the receivers too. But I was surprised he was let go. Like I don't know, what happened there, why that did. But
what about Ackerman?
Yeah, I thought there was a good shot that Ackerman would be let go. The special teams unit has – you look at –
it stinks.
The returning has not been good.
Punt coverage.
Coverage has not been good.
Even Stonehouse. Stonehouse has a lot of good raw stats, but I looked this up. He had 59 punts returned on him, and the second highest was 42. It was 600 return yards for Stonehouse.
Yeah.
And everybody else was 260 return yards.
Well, you also, you could just look. He set a record for gross punt average.
Yeah.
I think he was 4th in net.
Sure,
So,
which is not bad.
It's still good.
Right.
But we're talking about set a record. Was it Lou Groza?
I think it was, it was one of those guys that played both quarterback and punted.
So they had
Sammy Baugh.
They had Sammy Baugh.
Sammy Baugh.
They had leather helmets back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that record stood for that long, and he broke that. But he was 4th or top 5 in net. That's tough, man. So look, I don't like to get on here and say anybody should have gotten fired. I'm not going to say Craig Ackerman should have gotten fired, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it happened.
So the Titans don't have a GM yet. TD is with us. Get your questions in for TD at 615-737-1025. But what about bringing it back with Tannehill and Henry? What about rebuilding versus reloading? What does TD think the Titans should do next? We'll get into that with TD. It is the TD Power Hour on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Joe Rexford here for FanDuel Sportsbook. Football fans, call your own plays during the NFL playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because when you bet NFL same-game parlays from now through January 16th, all customers can get up to $100 in free bets, win or lose. All you have to do is place a total of $20 or more on NFL same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus bets during the wild card round. The more you bet, the more you get back in free bets. NFL same-game parlay is the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a larger payday. If I was looking at Ravens, Bengals, not sure about Lamar Jackson, but you know what? I think Joe Burrow under on the passing yards. I think under on this game. I think Bengals on this game. That's what I would do with that same-game parlay. Now, build your own or choose one of the popular same-game parlays pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. If you're new, you can get $100 free bets, win or lose, when sign up with promo code Joe102. Again, Joe102. Make every month more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets. Expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $100. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429 has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to IBEW429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This organization would go the path of rebuilding from the bottom up as opposed to running it back with the group that you guys have had over the last couple of years with changes?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a number of things that you could do. We could, there's a lot of, that's those questions that you ask every year, as you construct a roster, as you do a lot of different things. And our goals will never change. Our goal is to have a championship football team. Have fallen short, of that. But we still know what wins. We still know, and we're going to win. But again, there's decisions that will be made throughout the season, throughout the off season, and starting with, free agency, guys that we identify, trying to get somebody hired and looking at where we are with the salary cap and all those things that everybody's concerned about.
There you go, Mike Vrabel, TD. Rebuild or reload?
Absolutely reload, man. That's without question. I don't think Mike Vrabel is the guy to reload with. I don't think any coach who has years with the team is the one you reload with because
– You mean rebuild?
Or rebuild with, excuse me. Because it's like, all right, you want me to tear it down and get it almost right so the next guy could come in and make it right? No, I'm not doing that.
I think there's one coach and one general manager in the NFL that could survive going
Mike
through a
Tomlin?
rebuild. No, I was going to say Jerry Jones. Like, he's the one guy, the one general manager who could rebuild and not get fired because he owns the team. Everybody else, if they were to go to a straight rebuild, you're probably right, though. Like a team like Pittsburgh, they get it. So they would be like, hey, like we know we're not going to be very good this year. We know, and then Coach Tomlin will find a way, and then in 2 years we'll be right back in the AFC playoff picture.
Yeah, with Jerry Jones, he won't fire himself.
No, he will not. I mean, to me, and I know they don't have a GM yet, but unless I can get Lamar Jackson or I can get Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, which I don't think they can, but unless I can get that, I'm running it back with Tannehill and Henry, and I'm going from there. And every time I say that, people act like I'm freaking crazy.
No, I run it back. And there's some things you could do, right? There's some free agents, right? Low-cost receiver free agents that you could bring in to fortify your group, right? Nelson Aguilar is someone I would look at. A fan had mentioned Mecole Hardman on Monday. He's DM'd me that, and I'm like, that's a perfect name right there. A young, fast player that brings speed, gives you a deep threat. So you got that. You get that offensive line going. I mean, you could reload this thing pretty well and be in good shape to compete next year. I don't think that all things are over. Like, they still have some talent on there, but, I mean, obviously they need a big influx of talent.
Here's the thing with me and the Titans is that the offensive line was terrible this year. And as much as people, I think, feel anxiety inside about how hard it is to rebuild an offensive line, when John Robinson showed up, this line was equally as bad. And he immediately signed Ben Jones, drafted Jack Conklin, claimed Josh Klein off waivers, and they had Quentin Spain and Taylor Lewan. And, they went from there. And so I don't think it's that difficult. There's, I think, a lot of guards that are out there in free agency that the Titans could be able to get.
There's guards in the draft.
Exactly. And the 11th overall pick is a premium pick, and in this year's draft might be able to get you a wide receiver one. We were talking about the kid from TCU
Quentin Johnson
earlier today. If he's a star or if, the tackle out of Ohio State or something like that, if those guys are stars, you make that pick, and now you're set for the next however many years. So I just think that look at how bad things were this year and know how close you were to making the playoffs with Henry and Tannehill. And for some reason, people just, nope, Tannehill's gotten us as far as he can get us, and that's all I'm interested in, and I'm like, okay, look at the Minnesota Vikings. I thought the Vikings were in a very similar position last year, and everybody was telling them, including me, you got to move off of Cousins, and they ran it back. And now the Vikings are one of the top teams in the NFC.
Yeah, I think you could run it back for sure. And here's the thing, that defense is solid. Now, 32nd against the pass, that's going to leave a lot to be desired. But I would like to see Christian Fulton extend. Roger McCreary won't be a rookie. Now, Caleb Farley is interesting. I talked to him, and he actually his calf was messed up because he had a pinched nerve that was keeping his calf from being able to trigger, so that's something that we'll see. I mean, obviously the jury is more than likely out on him, but
it ain't looking good.
It's not looking good, but that's something. If Molden could come back and be healthy, I think there's still things that could help within this team that could help elevate that pass defense. But overall, the defense itself, even if they do move on from Dupree, you got Harold Landry coming back, Rashad Weaver another year. You got Autry back, Simmons. We'll see how that situation works out. David Long, we'll see how that works out. But you still have Kevin Byard, Amani Hooker. Like, you have solid core pieces on the defense. So you don't have to put as much into that. And even if they sign Simmons to an extension, it's going to be new money that's going to kick in next year, not this year. So you don't have to really immediately put a lot of money into the defense, right? That's why it's so key. You got to get this offense up to the level where the defense is or even close. So now you have some type of balance. And you absolutely have to get yourself some type of dynamic returner. Field position is a part of the formula for Mike Vrabel's, winning things that have to happen to win. You got to win the turnovers, win the field position, run the football, stop the run.
And you know what nobody talked about with Saturday night's game? Nobody talked about Logan Cook's punt that went out at like the 6-yard line. And then Josh Dobbs ends up throwing the fumble, and it ends up getting returned for a touchdown.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that, but those are big parts of the game. I believe the other thing, too, is if Todd Downing was that bad and the receivers are that awful and the offensive line was that terrible, then all things considered, if we're grading on a curve, didn't Tannehill have a pretty good season? For the anti-Tannehill crew, didn't he have a pretty good season given all those things that everybody seems to scream about consistently?
Look, Tannehill was fine, in my opinion. Tannehill is he's like a Nissan Maxima. You know what I mean? Where it looks good. It's going to get you where you have to go. Like, it may not have the same appeal as, a high-end sedan, Mercedes, whatever. But it's solid. And it does the job. And that's what he does the job. I don't think you lose many games because of him. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, the Bengals game, divisional round, okay, you have that. But there's other things that went into that also. But I think he's right for what they want to do. And I feel that you could bring him back. And, again, you extend it, you lower the number. I think he's ideal for this team, to be honest with you.
And I think he's got a personality that goes with Vrabel. And
Absolutely.
That's as important as anything else. Now, if you can get Tom Brady or you can get Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, now I'm all ears. Mm-hmm. But I really look at it. I keep saying this over and over again. I believe the way it works in the NFL is that if there's Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert.
Don't put Herbert
Brady.
Don't put
Oh,
Herbert
I think
with
Herbert's.
Them. He's a step below them.
Oh, I think Herbert has graduated. I love Herbert.
When did he win a playoff game?
He's doing what he's doing in spite of having the dumbest coach in the league.
All of those guys took their teams deep in the playoffs. All of the ones you mentioned.
Yes, and then Brady and Rodgers.
Okay.
But I think Herbert, like if Herbert gets a good coach, if they lose this week and the coach does something stupid and they fire him and they hire Sean Payton,
it's curtains.
I mean, yes. If you don't have those guys, and Lamar to me is right in between what I consider fine, which is everybody else, and that group. Lamar's on the outside of the great group, but he's not. He's better than Dak Prescott. He's better than Kirk Cousins. He's better
Lamar
than
won an MVP, right?
I know he did, but I don't know about Lamar. That being
But you
said,
know about Herbert, who hasn't.
I mean, Herbert, the way he throws the ball, it's like watching Dan Marino. I watch Justin Herbert. My eyes glaze over.
You could have said Dan Fouts. You got the wrong Dan.
Dan Fouts is awesome too.
I know.
But our audience is too. Our audience isn't old enough for Dan, or isn't young enough for Dan Fouts.
But I would sit here and let you compare Herbert to Marino. That's not happening on my watch.
Oh, I tell you what, I said my tears come down when I think about how much I love watching Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert play quarterback, and how it's just a gift to watch those two play. Now, I get mad whenever people talk about Trevor Lawrence and puts him in the class with those guys. Yeah. Now watch, Lawrence will go out there for 430 yards this week, and Herbert will lose. And everyone's like, what do you think now, Jared? But other than that, I think the rest of them are fine. Now, there's some young guys that are fine that are going to, I think, graduate out of that. Like Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. I think he could graduate into the big boy group. I also think there's a chance that he's in the most perfect situation for him. Like when Tannehill was in the perfect situation for him, he was Joe Montana. And so, I mean, if you want to move off of Tannehill for Derek Carr, I don't think you're improving much, but it will cost you more money to do that. Right. So I don't understand why people would do that.
Yeah, I don't get the rush to he's right where he needs to be.
All right, the GM candidates. We got the names. We don't know if they'll add any more. One guy's already pulled out. We'll get TD's thoughts. What do we know about these guys, TD? We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Jaguars have won the AFC South.
The Titans season comes to an end in Jacksonville after losing 7 in a row.
Everything seems to be on the table.
What changes need to be made?
You're going to have to draft a few positions. You may have to go sign some guys this offseason.
Keep it locked on Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota LO1 series is part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota LO1 series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Professional quilt maker Dana Balliard once said, "There are no rules in quilting, and if you think that there are, then it's time you try breaking a few." Now, I like that type of creative entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why I do my adult beverage trading at Red Spirits and Wine. It's not just a great selection of distilled spirits, single-barrel Red Select whiskeys, great wines from around the world, and awesome craft beers, but it's more the way the folks at Red just go about their business. At Red, they keep it interesting and fun. The Cracker Jack crew makes you feel welcome after a hard day on the trail, never coming off like some of them snooty-nosed, big-talking whoop-de-doos. At Red, it's always square dealing with the best in service, selection, and prices. Plus, Red is locally owned by real folks, not some totally faceless corporation. There's no doubt in my mind, Red is my kind of place. Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and at redspirits.com.
Hey guys, it's the new year. We popped the champagne, kissed at midnight, and it's time to make a new start. But if you aren't popping like you used to because of erectile dysfunction or low testosterone, maybe your new start should be making a call to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You see, ED is just a medical condition affecting men of all ages. But the good news is that ED is highly treatable. In fact, the medical experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic have successfully treated thousands of men, with ED treatments having success rates as high as 90%. And with a variety of ED treatment options, including acoustic wave therapy, they can likely find the right one for you. You might even find your cork is popping like it hasn't in years. Plus, their low T treatments are highly effective. So many men have experienced life-changing results, from increased energy to more productive workouts, feeling more rested, and enjoying a greater sex drive too. So make 2023 the year you get free of ED and low T. Make an appointment. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a more comprehensive approach, including a testosterone lab panel and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment sex drive results vary.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
On the Thursday edition of Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, our official Titans off-season to-do list. What do the Titans need to do going into 2023? All of that coming up on Thursday on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Remain as it was with the previous GM, or are you looking for that to increase?
Well, I'm just looking to try to bring in the best people and the best players that we possibly can. Again, just going forward, just trying to find the best GM right now. That's the next step. Trying to work through the staff, work through the players, work through meetings. And then when they ask me to be involved, I'm comfortable and excited to be involved in the process, not about where we were or what we did.
TD doesn't sound like there was a lot of collaboration there.
I tried to ask him if he wants it the same. You heard the answer, but we'll see what happens going forward. I think, you have to look at what Miss Amy Adams Strong said as far as the next GM will have to be able to work in collaboration with Mike Vrabel. So,
did you think that there was a collaboration problem before John Robinson got fired?
I didn't. I thought that, things were in good shape. I mean, I remember what draft was that? 19. I remember that draft where, so we saw them when they made their first pick and when they picked Simmons. They had one outfit on. And then after the draft, they changed to – after that first round, they changed to another outfit. And I remember they both sat down and they did their little, like, push their lapel, and they looked at me. So I'm like, all right, yeah, look at these guys, Amos and Andy. You know what I mean, right here. But I thought everything was cool. And then you have the meme where they you know, gave each other a pound and they a fist bump or whatever. I thought everything was cool.
My guess is Robinson probably had it in his contract that he has full say over the 53, and I think Amy doesn't want the general manager to have that in his contract. That's just a guess. I don't know. TD, what do we know about these guys? So the guys from the Titans, Ryan Cowden and Monty Ossenfort. Ossenfort was a high-level executive at New England for a while before coming here. Glenn Cook of the Browns, he's been there since 2016. Rand Carthon, the old running back, he's with the 49ers. Quentin Harris with Arizona. Now, Quentin Harris is also interviewing for Arizona.
Right, as is
Arizona.
Adrian Wilson, the former safety.
Adrian Wilson, one time I read in Men's Health magazine when I was like in high school that he would down like 24 donuts before a game.
Wow. Some people just got it.
Some people just got it. Ian Cunningham of the Bears, who was in Philadelphia and in Baltimore, and Malik Boyd of the Bills, who's been there since that administration got there in 2017. And I just think that's of note because they drafted Josh Allen in 2018. What do we know about these guys, TD?
Yeah, well, first, I will say this. They went and secured 6 exterior candidates. Adam Peters is the one that the 6th one who declined the job. But it's really, really intriguing to me. 5 of these 6 are minorities.
Well, it sounds like they went to the NFL owners' meetings where they brought a bunch of minority candidates to get to know the owners. And my guess is that Amy met some people she liked.
Yeah, probably. And I think, you know, one thing that's common is a lot of these guys are former players, whether it's college or NFL. So you have Rand Carthon was in the league. Ian Cunningham, brief cup of coffee. He was in the Chiefs camp. Malik Boyd played for LSU. So you have guys who, you know, or excuse me, he played for Grambling. Sorry about that, not LSU. Same state. But so I think that's intriguing. But really, the thing that I like is you look at the organizations that these guys have either come from directly or have touched very much a winning cultures. You know, not as much Quentin Harris with the Cardinals, but still they put together talent. They you can't say that roster's not talented. It's just for whatever reason stuff didn't come together, whether that's Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, whoever, but it didn't come together. But me personally, when I look at these guys, Ian Cunningham is the one that is most interesting to me because you look at his path, right? So Baltimore, they have a kind of like a club, almost like a training school that they bring you up through.
The Ozzie Newsome School of
Right, but there's a name. It's like 2020 or 3030. I forget what it is, but I think it's 2020 because you make like $20,000 a year and you got to be in your 20s. So I think that's what it is. He went through that. So you look at Cunningham. He was a standout offensive lineman. He signed with the Chiefs, undrafted free agent. Right, his locker was next to Tony Gonzalez during training camp for the little bit of time that he was there. Then they released him. He had ties to Al Groh, so he went back to Al Groh. Al Groh connected him to Ozzie Newsome, and Ozzie hired him after an interview.
Because Al Groh was in Cleveland under the Belichick administration when Ozzie was there.
So there's ties.
Sure.
Right? So Al Groh or Ozzie Newsome hired him after an interview. He was doing all the grunt work. Like, he would go in and he would rearrange the magnets and all that stuff as they go through the evaluation process. Have the one-on-one conversation, who do you like, this, that, and the third. That's valuable. And then also while he was there, Eric DeCosta, who's the current GM, was someone else that he learned from. Joe Douglas was there also, who Joe Douglas, by the way, is the Jets GM. But Joe Douglas left the Ravens and went to the Eagles soon after. 2017, I believe it was, he brought Ian Cunningham there, and Ian Cunningham played a key role there. But there he got to learn from Howie Roseman. So now you got the cap part of it too. I think when you look at just all the things that cross paths for him, I think this is a really – all of these guys are good candidates, but that's the one that intrigues me the most just because the people whose offices he sat in.
Do you think that the internal candidates right now, the incumbents, do you think they have any real shot at getting this job?
I think so. I mean, look, man, Ryan Cowden as a GM brought in who? Josh Dobbs. That right there, because Dobbs had them in position to win against Jacksonville.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That right there, that's a plus, a feather in his cap during this trial era. You know, and Monty Ossenfort, I mean, you have to look. He's tenured, right? And he has that Patriot background also. So, yeah, I think they have absolute right to you know, be able to interview for this. And I think they should be candidates, and they are.
I don't know how you interview a general manager candidate. You know, I know this is going to sound crazy. The group that the Titans, website talked about is going to be 3 lawyers and 2 owners. And I'm like, how do you put that together? Right? Like, how do you listen to every guy that walks in there? And I'm just using Malik Boyd as an example because he's at the top of my list. But he's going to go in there and talk about how, oh, yeah, when we scouted Josh Allen, and everybody's going to talk about all the good things that their organization did.
You listen to their plan.
But how do you know what they do there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't know per se exactly what each of these guys do with their organization. But one thing you can know is whether or not their plan is well put together and well thought out and presented correctly. I think that's important. I mean, you're hiring somebody to be, in essence, a face of your personnel department.
Sure.
So you better be able to sell yourself convincingly to them, right? And that you need to be sold as the team owner, as everyone else who's in there. So I think that's the key, is just the plan itself. How does that look to them?
If you were the owner, so you're in this spot, how much does Vrabel's input matter to you in this regard? Because she said they're going to be 50-50. They'll both report to her. And yet Vrabel will at some point have a role in this, and she wants collaboration, and I don't know how you're going to get collaboration if Mike Vrabel doesn't get to know these people ahead of time. How much would Vrabel's recommendation matter to you here?
I'll be honest, I would have him in the interview because, in essence, he would be the checks and balances for some of the things that you said you can't understand.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? So I would have him in the interview. I don't believe he's going to be, but I think it's very important, especially if you're going to put that's going to be your guy, your coach for X amount of years. He needs to be involved in the selection process without a doubt.
Plus, Vrabel's your chief football person right now, so if he's not in there, again, like I have a lot of respect for Burke Nihill and Adolfo Birch, and, I love Amy, but Vrabel knows football. These guys, they're not football people. And that's where I worry about non-football people. Not that I think Amy's as wild as some of these other owners, but sometimes I think these other owners get wowed by, and that's how Paul DePodesta ends up as your baseball general manager, is now running the football operations. And, that's how that happens.
Well, he's gone. Andrew Berry now.
So he's still in there, actually.
But I'm talking about
as far as making the decisions, yeah. He, of all the guys that have been fired in Cleveland over all these years, he's still there.
Yeah.
Which clearly the owner must just love him. But who knows? All right, questions for TD. 615-737-1025. Get them in. 615-737-1025. And we are always right to them. We will do that next. Stillman and Company. It's the TD Power Hour right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes, touchdown.
Every three.
Free ball, yes, sir.
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee.
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5. Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like waterfront property, more like a mosquito farm. Pride of ownership, they're really proud of the DIY job they did. Seller says sell, Really? I thought they just put it on the market for fun. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if it says don't let this one pass you by, it's probably on wheels. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
The Electronic Express New Year's blowout sale is going on now. Come into any of our convenient locations for the guaranteed lowest prices on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, KitchenAid, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop great deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, January 11th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday, 615-576-5000.
Get back to business and start the year strong with an HP printer from Staples, like the HP LaserJet MFP M234 SDWE printer. This compact multifunction printer features blazing fast print speeds. It's the fastest two-sided printer in its class. Plus, with the HP Smart app, you can print, scan, and copy from anywhere. And Staples has the best deals on a full range of HP printers. Right now, save up to $100 on the HP LaserJet. But hurry, this offer is good this week only. Offer good in-store and online. Ends 1/14.
Start your day with a cup of Joe. Ugh, he's gonna think that's stupid.
Wait, what?
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, TD Power Hour. Terron Davenport is with us. As always, get your questions in 615-737-1025. And our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. TD, you have a thought or you want to go right to the phones?
No, to the phones.
TD, David in Arkansas asks, I'm wondering how the Titans could interview guys from organizations like the Browns and the Bears and expect to get good results from that potential general manager when those two organizations have been dumpster fires most of the times in recent years.
Yeah, well, we talked about Ian Cunningham. Yeah, he spent time. He's coming from the Bears, but he spent time. He cut his teeth in Baltimore. And
Whole new regime there in Chicago.
Yeah, in Baltimore and then Philadelphia. So there's things to that. Like, I get on the surface, and we have to – Mike Herndon on Twitter did a good job in stating this. He said, you can't helmet scout. Let's not get into helmet scouting these candidates like we helmet scout prospects. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whereas, he's from Georgia, Isaiah Wilson, DeAndre Walker. No way we take a guy from Georgia. No, you got to look deeper. So that's how they could do that.
Plus, the other side of that too is – like, I think I can first say, now that the book's closed, Robinson did a good job here, right?
Yeah.
Robinson came from Tampa Bay. They had the number 1 pick. They were terrible. But
cut his teeth with New England.
Yes.
So I think you just got to go deeper. That's all.
Texter says, although Glenn Cook has been with the Browns since 2016.
Yeah, I mean, but he spent time with the Packers. Mm-hmm. And last time I checked, the Packers have always been a good franchise.
Justin in Greenbrier says, TD, knowing what you know about these candidates for GM and the Titans as a whole, who would be your top choice if it were up to you?
I like Ian Cunningham. That's the one that I would pick. I got to know Ozzie Newsome in 14 and 15. Eric DeCosta as well. Joe Douglas in 16 and 17. So I'm going off of personal experience. Those guys, they're very in tune with what they're doing. So I would take a guy that spent time with them, and coincidentally, Howie Roseman in 16 and 17. So got to see all of those GMs that he's been touched by. So yeah, I would go Ian Cunningham.
Rob says, are the GM candidates given the cap statuses and contract statuses so that they may put a plan together to present? Just curious if the team gives them limited info, the whole scoop, or nothing at all to create a vision for the team.
Well, all of that is public knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little research will help that out. So I don't think that they're given hey, this is, a folder with this is what you're looking at, what you're walking into. It's your job to know it. So and that, frankly, you talk about how could they know? If I'm interviewing a guy and he's like, hey, you guys got $4.4 million in cap space. These are some of the guys that I think we could, make a move on to clear up this amount of space. And if we clear up this amount of space, these are some – you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So now it's funny because it reminds me – so before I got the ESPN job, I interviewed with the Jets for one of their team reporter jobs. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, I'm sick about it because when I interviewed, it was a long interview. I told them ways to revamp their website, increase their draft coverage, all this stuff. Guess what I started to see on the site after I didn't get the job. So that's something that, so that's something that could be tough.
So one thing I was actually thinking about yesterday, and I texted somebody about this, was, right now looking at offensive coordinator candidates. Malik Boyd in Buffalo probably has a really good idea of what Joe Brady, their quarterback coach, would be like as an offensive coordinator. Quentin Harris in Arizona has probably a great idea of what Cliff Kingsbury would be like as the Titans offensive coordinator. And I use Kingsbury as an example because I think that if you could trust that Kingsbury could run your offense, and he can run this system because that's what they run in Arizona, but if you could trust Kingsbury, you wouldn't have to pay him because Arizona signed him to that massive extension before firing him. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't have to pay him. And he's teammates with Vrabel in New England, so Vrabel knows him.
Right.
So if these guys give you the goods on these coaches, it gives you a little bit of intel that you might want to just keep in the back pocket just in case.
Yeah. It's just the same as the draft prospect. Like you talk to a prospect, maybe not as much to know about him, but hey, tell me a little bit about your quarterback. What was he like? You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's what they do. That's what they do. So yeah, for sure. That's an excellent idea.
Ryan texts in and says, if you were the GM, TD, what would your plan be this offseason involving cap situation, roster holes, and the draft? And would you change the offensive philosophy?
I wouldn't change it as a whole. I would shift it to being a little more balanced, and you could do that by getting guys in the draft, receiver-wise, receiving talent. There's some veterans. I would Bud Dupree, Robert Woods, those are guys I would look at seriously. Zach Cunningham, I would release. I would work to re-sign Nate Davis. I'm going out and signing Andre Dillard. I'm finding a way to make that work. I'm signing him. Because you sign him, now you got a left tackle. You don't have to be shoehorned into Paris Johnson at 11, right? Now you could grab a Quentin Johnson if you want to do that first round and come back and get a guy like Andy Monk in the second. You see what I mean? So there's things that you could do. So I would do as much as I can free agency-wise to fortify this roster so I don't go into the draft having to go a certain position in the first round. That's what I would do.
If I was in charge, I'd go to Amy Adams Strunk and I'd say, Amy, I need you to go hat in hand to Mike Munchak, and I need you to say, hey, I know my brother-in-law fired you as coach of the Titans, but he was kind of, a putz. So my dad loved you, and I love you, and I want you to be the offensive line coach of the Tennessee Titans. And that would make life around here a lot easier.
But does Vrabel go for that?
He's got to, right?
Don't know.
Munchak's one of the best offensive line coaches. TD, when I was a kid, the Titans could put anybody I'd never heard, Tom Ackerman. They could just stick him in the lineup, and it'd be fine. It'd be great every time.
No,
it was
I hear you.
unbelievable
I
how
hear
the
you.
Titans could just turn out offensive linemen. And now it's like, don't have a right guard. What? It's just different. JP says, Nick Westbrook-Akine disappointed and did not make any progress. Your thoughts on him going forward?
I think he falls into that category of a jag, right? Just a guy.
Fine.
He's solid. He works all positions. He's someone that I would definitely bring back because he, play X, Z in the slot. He knows everything. If you need him to play special teams, you got that. But I think they over-relied on him this year, and he was kind of shifted too far up the pecking order, so to speak.
I think Westbrook-Akine is fine. He's fine. Texter says that Taylor Lewan said on Bussin' with the Boys that Keith Carter overworked a lot of veterans and made them more tired and burnt out by the time the end of the season came. Did you notice this when you were around the team and going to practice? That comes from Caleb.
Yeah, well, Caleb also left out the part where Lewan said that towards the end he did a better job, a good job of getting Ben Jones rest, of getting him rest. So we want to make sure we balance that out.
Did Lewan do a breakdown of all the coaches got fired?
No, he just spoke on Todd Downing and Taylor Lewan. I wouldn't expect him to speak on Coach Midget, and he didn't really say anything about Eric Frazier. But when you look at it, he rode those guys. He was hard on them, and there were a lot of F-bombs and stuff like that. We get to see full practice in camp.
Right.
So during the season, we don't see the full practice. In camp, you better be going hard because you're getting in shape for, not in shape, but you're getting, in that zone, in that mode for practice or regular season. So I can't say that I felt like he was too hard on them because I think the way he was on them was appropriate because, again, it's camp. It's supposed to be dog days.
The one thing that I remember Vrabel said at the Combine that he was charging Keith Carter to get Dylan Radunz ready to start. And I do wonder if that played a role in Vrabel.
But he said Keith Carter and all of us. He didn't just say Keith. He said Keith Carter because that's the position coach for that position. But he said we, meaning the staff.
Ron says, TD, do you think the Titans should go after a quarterback in the draft, knowing that they're not going to have Tannehill for long? And if they are better next year but still no Super Bowl, they'll lose the chance to be close enough in the draft to go up and get a quarterback.
Yeah, I think, look, I like Stroud. I like Bryce Young. Me personally, the guy I'm putting all the stuff on the table for and going
Levis.
up and getting, yeah, right.
I'm kidding.
Do you think I've been drinking or something?
Hey, Mel Kiper says Troy Aikman.
Yeah, okay. Caleb Williams next year is the one. That's the one that I'm like, yo, got to have him. That's the one I would do. I wouldn't move heaven and earth to go up and get these guys.
I believe that Houston's fine with picking second. With Stroud or Young, like it's I mean, look,
and I doubt the Bears take a quarterback anyway.
I went back and but they'd trade out of that spot. Indianapolis.
They could trade
somebody.
it. They could. Or they could get Will Anderson.
I went back and I looked at the last 10 years of quarterbacks drafted. Only twice was the quarterback that was picked at 1-1. Excuse me, 3 times. Joe Burrow. Only 3 times was the quarterback picked at 1-1 the best quarterback according to Football Reference's weighted value or whatever. I should take that back. Herbert has a higher weighted value than Burrow. Kyler Murray and Jameis Winston were the only 2 that went 1-1 who were the top quarterbacks of that grouping. Like a lot of times it's like Blake Bortles.
Who did they go number 1 in Trevor Lawrence's draft?
Mac Jones had a higher Football Reference weighted value.
Yeah. Let's just stop talking about whoever that. Let's just we'll leave that alone.
But a lot of it's like Jared Goff went 1-1, and Dak Prescott was probably the best quarterback in that class.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky went 1-1, and Mahomes went 1-10, and he was the best quarterback in that class.
Trubisky was second, wasn't he?
Yeah, 1-2, 1-2. Baker went 1-1, and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean I get what you're saying.
Right, that's the thing. Like the 11th overall pick. I mean, I don't know
can
these
still get a good
quarterbacks,
player,
but they
yeah.
could be, who knows. TD, great stuff. Do we have a talking with TD now that the season's over coming out?
Yeah, man, I'm fresh out of recording it, actually. So we just got into the GM search. I had an extensive conversation about Jeffrey Simmons. I think they absolutely, whoever this GM is, that's one of the first things that he's going to have to get in order, But, yeah, so we went over that. Chris Sanders gave somewhat of an off-season plan. So, yeah, man, that's what we did.
TD, good to see you.
Oh, yeah, good to be seen, man.
TD, of course, will always be with us, even throughout the offseason as we get rocking and rolling here. Coming up next, my biggest takes of the year, self-evaluation. It's what all these coaches say they have to do. We are self-evaluating the Jared Stillman takes of the 2022 Titans season, and we will do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay.
We are
1, 2, 3,
I think it was a good game. You had a couple of big plays.
Yossi scores.
the game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off or get 18 months of no payments. So the first payment is not until spring of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Hey, Smashville! Join 102.5 The Game and the Nashville Predators Energy Team at Nobles in East Nashville for the official Bud Light Watch Party tonight at 6. There'll be plenty of beer specials, prizes, and chances to win Preds tickets to an upcoming home game. Go Preds!
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. The team is looking to build off 4 wins in a row, as they are currently 1 point behind Edmonton for the final playoff spot. Reports out of Toronto are Maple Leafs forward Austin Matthews will not play tonight. We will have pregame coverage at 5:30 with puck drop at 6:30, right here on the Preds Radio Network. The Tennessee Titans off-season interviews continue. NFL Network is reporting that 49ers assistant GM Adam Peters has declined a request to interview for the Titans GM position. The playoff news, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson still has not practiced and is considered a long shot to play in the wild card round. And Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Game Nashville studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. I have never done this before, but I do think it is time for a self-evaluation of me. It is time. I have in front of me my Titans takes from this past year, and we will go through them, and we will decide the official self-evaluation of Jared Stillman. I'm not saying I directly ripped off Colin Cowherd's where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong, but I do feel like I have enough takes that I think we need to go over them, and we need to decide if they were the right take or the wrong take. So we're going to start at all the way at the beginning. We're going to roll it back an entire year with the major takes of the season. And we start with last offseason.
Offseason.
Number 1, Ryan Tannehill cannot get this team past the top quarterbacks in the AFC. I'm going to say that was a correct take. And I'm going to say it, thank you. I'm going to say that because they got smoked by Josh Allen. They lost to Joe Burrow. I know he didn't play in the Kansas City game, but they lost to Patrick Mahomes. And so this season, every legitimately good quarterback they played, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia, every legitimately good quarterback they played, they got beat by. Justin Herbert beat him at the end. Trevor Lawrence beat Ryan Tannehill in the game here. I'm not saying it was all Ryan Tannehill's fault, but Ryan Tannehill, I believed after the Bengals game, could not get this team past the top of the AFC, and I still believe that, even though I think he should be the quarterback next year. After the Bengals game, I said the Titans should fire Todd Downing as their offensive coordinator. And I didn't necessarily think that the Titans should fire Todd Downing as their offensive coordinator because I thought Todd Downing was that bad. I thought the Titans should fire Todd Downing as their offensive coordinator because somebody had to take the blame. The offense was second in the league, and they reverted to 17th in 2021. Tannehill did not look right. Somebody had to take the blame. Somebody had to be the guy that you could tangibly say, hey, this guy, we're putting the blame on him. He's gone. We're starting over. I said they needed to sacrifice Todd Downing. The Titans decided not to do that. I think that one was correct. The Titans should sell the farm for Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, or Russell Wilson if any of the three are available. Boy, I yelled and screamed about that one. And my goodness gracious, I told you all the day that Aaron Rodgers decided to go back to Green Bay and the day Denver traded for Russell Wilson, I said goodbye Super Bowl. It wasn't going to happen. I just felt like at that point you're stuck with Tannehill and there's no way to win the Super Bowl. And if they could just have had Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Russell Wilson. I said whatever it takes to get Russell Wilson, they need to make it happen. Thank God they did not do whatever it took to get Russell Wilson because somebody did that, and that might be the worst situation in the NFL right now, including Washington and the Texans. So that one Boy, I'm never going to live down that Russell Wilson one. Next step in the offseason.
Free agency.
I said the Titans should sign Morgan Moses, a right tackle, to a 3-year, $25 million contract. It was part of the official Jared Stillman free agency plan. Morgan Moses actually signed for 3 years and $15 million with Baltimore. Morgan Moses has been the starting right tackle for the Baltimore Ravens the entire season, just like he was the starting right tackle for the Jets last year, and he started almost every game when he was in Washington. Is Morgan Moses a great right tackle? Probably not. He's probably not Jack Conklin. Was Morgan Moses better than what you had at right tackle this year? I think so. Trading a 6th-round pick for Robert Woods was a, in all caps, great trade. I was at Bridgestone Arena watching the Tennessee Volunteers choke away the NCAA tournament when I saw that the Titans were making a trade for Robert Woods, and I thought it was a great trade. And the reason why I thought it was a great trade was he was going to slot in and play that Corey Davis role next to A.J. Brown, and I thought he'd have somewhere around 800 yards, and he'd be consistent, and he'd move the chains, and he'd catch the ball. Robert Woods, even though it was only a 6th-round pick, did not do those things. I thought the Titans needed to move off of Randy Bullock. I thought Randy Bullock did a fine job being signed the 2nd, 3rd week of the season last year, and he made a bunch of kicks. He missed a handful of kicks, but it was obvious that he couldn't kick the ball far. And anytime they'd have to kick it over 45 yards, everybody in the stadium would have to hold their breath. Now, I know Big Boy hit a 51-yarder the other day, but the reality is Randy Bullock, they needed to upgrade. Week 1 against the Giants, 47-yarder, no good. That move to get rid of Randy Bullock, I thought was correct. I was stunned the Titans were not interested in bringing back running back D'Onta Foreman. I actually loved D'Onta Foreman. I liked D'Onta Foreman in 2020 when he was the backup to Derrick Henry, when they released him, and I said, what are you talking about? You got the perfect backup for Derrick Henry. This year they could have used the perfect backup for Derrick Henry. Too many carries for Derrick, year in and year out. D'Onta Foreman signed for almost no money with Carolina. They traded Christian McCaffrey, and they actually got better. 900 yards for D'Onta Foreman this year. How many times did we see his name on the bottom of the fantasy numbers on Red Zone of number 2 running back this week, D'Onta Foreman? I can't believe the Titans brought him back or didn't bring him back. So I'm going to say that move was correct. The draft. There's only one big take from the draft. I thought trading A.J. Brown for Treylon Burks was the right move. I voted for that referendum. I thought A.J. Brown was acting too childish. I thought A.J. Brown's knees were going to be a factor. He was never healthy when he was here. I thought A.J. Brown's demands of the organization and going public with it were not something that an organization that wants to do things the Patriot way with their Patriot general manager and Patriot coach, I didn't think that was the right call. Plus, I thought Treylon Burks was a younger, healthier version of A.J. Brown. I ultimately thought A.J. would drop the ball in Philadelphia. A.J. would have his money. A.J. would get hurt. A.J. would bitch. And I felt like the Titans were going to be better off with Treylon Burks than A.J. Brown. Boy, that was a big one. That was a big one. So we just went through some of them. Now we got the preseason and the season of takes. And we'll get to those coming up. But I think that's a fair self-evaluation. Boy, I was wrong on that Russell Wilson thing, and was I wrong on the A.J. Brown trade? So I'm getting all the little ones right, but all the big ones, man, boy, I tell you. That's next. Stillman and Company. We continue the self-evaluation next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's a new year and a new game. Robbie and Rex Road from 6 to 9.
I don't know whether to be proud of you or to tell you to leave the room. Both would be appropriate.
Chase and Michelle from 9 to 11.
Did you look at what the other teams were doing?
That's a player I want to keep an eye on.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace from 11 to 2.
You're the best running back in the league.
That's one you really need to win.
This is the way we were built. And Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman from 2 to 6.
Really the greatest player in the history of the team.
It's your new weekday lineup now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The choice is yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Hey, Smashville. Join 102.5 The Game and the Nashville Predators Energy Team at Nobles in East Nashville for the official Bud Light Watch Party tonight at 6. There'll be plenty of beer specials, prizes, and chances to win Preds tickets to an upcoming home game. Go Preds!
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient.
Visit driveelectrictn.org to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the East Tennessee Clean Fuels Coalition, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Mike, as you go about evaluating your coaching staff and your players and looking at what needs to change, how do you go about evaluating yourself as you kind of reflect on kind of what's been your first losing season? How do you kind of internally look at the job you've done?
I think when you work, the ability to play with 23 guys on a practice squad or from the street out of 48, you look at how competitive you are. Didn't do a good enough job. We lost too many games. I think that those things will come. I think that self-reflection. Nobody would evaluate that they did a good enough job because we didn't win. How I try to lead and the connection that I make with the players, and ultimately you're only defined by one thing, and that's whether you win or not. So, short answer is that it wasn't good enough.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel talking about his self-assessment, where he basically was going down the path of, I did a really good job. And then he realized that they had missed the playoffs, and he didn't want to go that route. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We are doing the official Jared Stillman self-assessment for 2022 of Titans Takes. Again, Kyle texts in, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and says, LOL, you're doing your own self-assessment. Typical. Maybe have TD do the self-assessment. It's a self-assessment. I'm the one who has to do the self-assessment. And I feel like we've been fair. So far, we've tackled the takes from the offseason, free agency, and the draft, and I am currently sitting at 5 of 8, so 63% on good takes. With that, we go to part 2.
Preseason.
Okay. I got to the preseason, covered training camp practices and the preseason games, and right away, I said the Titans need a better backup quarterback. Malik Willis and Logan Woodside were not cutting it. Malik Willis was not ready. I remember having to defend my statement that Malik Willis stinks right now. In a conversation I had with Buck Rising, I said Malik Willis stinks right now. And people get mad about that. And Buck was like, well, he's just a rookie. And I was like, I know. That's why I said he stinks right now. That doesn't mean that he'll stink next year. But if Tannehill got hurt and Malik had to go in, he would stink right now. And people got mad at me. But considering that was back in August and Malik Willis still stinks right now, I feel pretty confident with that one. I said the Titans need better options at left guard and right tackle. Boy, did I yell and scream about that. When I saw Aaron Brewer out there, I said he looks like a basketball player at training camp. And remember, they weren't wearing pads. And so you see Ben Jones, and you see Nate Davis, and you see PT, and you see Dylan Radins, and even Lawan. Now, Lawan is taller, and he's leaner than the other guys, but you see those guys, and then you see little baby Brewer. And I'm like, this guy's going to be playing guard this year? He's too skinny. And boy, it was obvious just watching the technique. I would stand there when the offensive linemen would warm up, and they'd, go into the pad, and Coach Turbo, Keith Carter, kept going over to him, and he kept making corrections every day to Dylan Radins. And I'm like, where's the veteran tackle that's supposed to be the swing guy, the backup? Boy, remember when Dennis Kelly got cut by the Colts? And I was like, please sign Dennis Kelly. They didn't. I feel pretty good about that one. I was the first to tell you all that Caleb Farley sucked. In training camp, thank you. In training camp, it was so obvious. Racey McMath kept burning Farley for big gains. And at first, the eternal optimist that I am, I got excited about the idea that maybe Tannehill and Racey McMath are going to be the Bomb Brothers this year. And that's just what they're going to do. Chuck it deep, catch it, there you go. But then they scrimmaged Tampa Bay. And when they scrimmaged Tampa Bay, I watched Farley, and I'm like, he kind of sucks. Because he got burned by some guy, Vincent Smith, who I had never heard of. He got burned deep down the field. And if Kyle Trask or Blaine Gabbert or whoever was throwing it, if they had just thrown a decent ball, that's a touchdown. If that's a real starting quarterback like Jared Goff, that's a touchdown. And then in the preseason game against Tampa Bay, Farley got beat deep. And then I asked Vrabel, why does Farley keep getting beat deep? And Vrabel didn't have a good answer. In fact, I asked Vrabel, Farley was so bad in the first day of practices against the Bucs. I asked Vrabel, I said, what did you think of Caleb Farley? No tense to the question. No tone, no leading, no nothing. And he starts telling a story about how Caleb Farley couldn't sleep the night before because he was so psyched up for practice against the Buccaneers. I'm like, this is the pros. I don't care if you went to bed or not. I don't care if you're out till 7 a.m. hooking up with chicks. If you cannot show up on the field, that's something. So I was the first to tell you all Caleb Farley sucked. So I feel pretty good about that one. The next one, this is the Joe Rexrode take. Ryan Tannehill's lack of turnovers in training camp was a sign that he would be better in the turnover department this year. We kept talking about it. Tannehill wasn't throwing picks, and Joe Rexrode kept, I don't care about how many interceptions he throws in training camp. Nobody cares about that. It's practice. 6 interceptions in 2019, 7 interceptions in 2020, 14 interceptions last year, 6 interceptions this year. He was better in the turnover department. Now, this one's a tricky one. I thought the Titans should have gone with Brett Kern over Ryan Stonehouse. Now, Ryan Stonehouse set an NFL record for the most gross punt yards. But the punt team was terrible. He kept out kicking the coverage. He led the NFL with 59 returns and 636 yards in returns. The second highest was 43 and 388. I didn't feel like Stonehouse did a Kern-like job of putting the ball down at the 4-yard line, the 3-yard line, whatever have you. I still feel okay about that. I put on here, Ian gets to decide this one. Kern over Stonehouse.
This one is close. I think I'm going to lean slightly incorrect. Only just because I won't give you the buzzer.
No, you got to give me the buzzer. If it's incorrect, you got to give me the buzzer. Okay, thank you.
Just because, Kern wasn't really picked up. It's not like he's been proven that.
Isn't he the Eagles punter now?
Has he been really crushing it?
I haven't watched.
Yeah, so I guess he did get picked up later in the season. The age thing, part of me wonders, all those punts, is that Stonehouse's fault, or is it just because they were constantly going 3 and out, on the offense? So I'm trying to give him a little bit of wiggle room there. So it's close, but and the age difference, and you can keep Stonehouse for the next several years, I'm going to lean slightly incorrect. Sorry.
That one's tough. That takes us to our final portion.
Regular season.
Okay. I said the Titans were screwed without A.J. Brown and Harold Landry. Caroline got mad at me. I think that one's pretty obvious. I said the Titans were going to win the AFC South. Everybody out there was picking the Colts, and I thought they were crazy. And literally of the 52-week year, I thought the Titans were going to win the AFC South for 52 of those weeks because last year, the last game actually happened this calendar year, but they didn't win the AFC South.
At least it wasn't the Colts. The Colts, so it wasn't completely wrong.
I said Mike Vrabel was the best coach in the NFL, and I believed this. You lose 7 games in a row while Kyle Shanahan is out there dominating with Mr. Irrelevant. I hate to say it, but right now, in my opinion, Kyle Shanahan holds that title. Mike Vrabel, not the best coach in the league. I said the Titans need a better backup quarterback after the Houston game before the deadline. I begged. I said Malik's no good. He's no good. Thank you. The Titans could compete. I believed after their loss at Kansas City in overtime with no quarterback, where they held Patrick Mahomes and company to 20 points, again in overtime, I thought the Titans could compete with the top of the AFC. They lost to Cincinnati. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to Jacksonville, all the teams that made the playoffs. I said that if A.J. Brown had a big game, somebody would get fired. Okay? I don't think we need to go into that one. Remember, Joe and Caroline were like, Vrabel's not going to change the game plan to keep A.J. from going off. I'm like, if A.J. has a big game, someone's getting fired. I didn't think that was who was going to get fired, but someone did get fired. I said after they lost to Jacksonville, firing John Robinson would wreck the team's season. I said after that Jacksonville game, the week they fired John Robinson, I said this season is over, and people got mad. They didn't win another game. And finally, I begged, play Josh Dobbs over Malik Willis. Chris Sanders and Derek Mason, oh no, what are you going to get out of that one? What's going to happen? Oh, so close. And that is the official Jared Stillman 2022 Titans Takes assessment. I currently, by my count, even though Ian did not give me the Stonehouse one, I went 13 for 20. So 65%.
Pretty solid. Pretty good.
65% with my Titans takes. And I would say this, the ones that really hit were the ones after I got to watch them practice and play. Those were the ones where I was like...
I mean, at least picking some stuff up here during training camp. some picking up some nuggets here and there.
I'm trying to think of which one I'm most ashamed of that I got wrong. And I'm thinking it's the Titans should sell the farm for Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, or Russell Wilson if any of the three are available.
Well, I mean, it's hard to know. Rodgers and Brady were not terrible.
No. That's all about Russell Wilson, for sure.
I mean, that's tough. I think a lot of us like the Robert Woods move. The Traylon Burks for A.J. Brown, that might be the biggest one.
That's a doozy.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one, but also not on an island on that one.
No, apparently not. Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio. He'll join us next. We'll get his thoughts on where the Titans go from here. We'll get his thoughts on if they should run it back with Tannehill. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rexroad every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Duchesne. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Welcome to Smashville, home of your Nashville Predators. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, January 14th as your Preds take on the Buffalo Sabres. Monday, January 16th for Firefighter Appreciation Night against the Calgary Flames. And Tuesday, January 17th against the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's 3 games in 4 days, so grab your gold and get ready to cheer on the boys because there's no place like Smashville. Purchase your tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Let's go, Preds!
All right, folks, we got Wild Card Weekend, NFL Wild Card Weekend. The easiest way to get into the playoffs is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Joe Rex here to let you know new customers join today. Get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you got to do is sign up with promo code JOE102. FanDuel's got all your favorite bets, money line, point spreads, player props, but you can combine them for a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. If I was looking at, let's say, Jags Chargers, could be Titans Chargers, instead it's Jags Chargers. I tell you what, I would be looking at the Chargers. I'd be looking at Justin Herbert over, and I'd be looking at Christian Kirk anytime touchdown. You do this on an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Do not miss out. Place that first $5 bet, get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code JOE102. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner in the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee for a silent room wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issue is now $12 free bets. Expire 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, January 11th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday, 615-576-5000.
The Low Post Podcast with Zach Lowe.
Tatum, I think at worst, he's third in MVP right now. He's playing defense at a borderline all-defense level. He's too young for these conversations to really start in earnest. If he's a Celtic for life for most of his career, he has a chance to be historically, for one of the 2 historic giants in the league, as great as any player who's ever worn that uniform, including Bird.
Check out the Low Post Podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
On the Thursday edition of Chase and Michelle, we'll react to the Predators and Maple Leafs. Talk to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN at 9:45. Plus, Terron Davenport. We discuss the Titans and their future with him at 10:15. The fun begins at 9 on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Somebody texted me about the official Jared Stillman self-assessment of the 2022 Titans, in which I was right 65% of the time. Somebody texted in and said 65% is not a fair assessment. The Russell Wilson and A.J. Brown takes are way more detrimental to the Titans' success than some of the other takes. They obviously are not weighted the same. Maybe, but I believe that not signing a right tackle was infinitely as bad as trading A.J. Brown because the offensive line was so bad. Could be wrong. Can't win them all. Jason Fitz joins us now, ESPN Radio. Fitz was the first person, speaking of self-assessments and who was right and who was wrong, Fitz was the first one to warn us about Todd Downing. The day he got hired, Jason Fitz said, "Oh, don't do that. I remember when he was running the Raiders." Fitz, Todd Downing was fired on Monday. Your thoughts?
I think it had to happen, right? But it also speaks to the fact that, sometimes your coaching staff needs to go in and admit they made mistakes, right? And so this just speaks to the absolute rebuild that's happening right now for the Titans structurally, right? Organizationally. You're going to have a new GM. You got a new offensive coordinator. This speaks to the fact that everything is up in the air, which is not something that this organization is really used to in the last several years.
Fitz, do you think, speaking of rebuilding, do you think the Titans should run it back with Henry and Tannehill, or do you think that they should tear it down? And it's not just Henry or Tannehill who doesn't come back if they do that. It's Byard. It might be Simmons. It's Autry. It's other free agents that end up not coming back, and you're pretty terrible. Do you think the Titans should go that route, or do you think they should reload it with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill still calling the shots?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to do that much of a reload. The question just becomes, what are you going to do at quarterback, right? Because where the Titans sit right now, I believe, is at 10th or 11th? 11th in the draft, I think. Mm-hmm. And when you start looking at that, that means that if they don't believe that Malik Willis is their quarterback, and I think that's probably a fair assessment right now. I mean, who knows? But Malik Willis would not have been more highly touted than any of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. But are you going to be in a position even at 11 to take another quarterback? That's going to be really tricky. So, if not Tannehill, then who becomes the question? And I know people hate that, but I've talked to several different people around organizations, scouts, our insiders, and asked the same question even of Derek Carr. If you're moving on from a quarterback, do you need to look at sort of the replacement to make sure that that's a smart decision? And every single person tells me, yes, organizations do that. So if not Tannehill, then who becomes a real question they'll have to answer before they can move on. But no, tearing it down all the way to the studs, man, that goes into full rebuild mode, and that's something that it just feels hard to imagine the organization doing when they were still within one game. As bad as it went, they were within one game of the South.
And plus, I believe, Jason Fitz is with us, I believe Ryan Tannehill deserves a shot. You traded away his best receiver. You had Todd Downing as his coordinator. You had no left guard or right tackle. Fitz, I believe Ryan Tannehill deserves a shot with a better coordinator. You knew this about Todd Downing the whole time. I thought Tannehill had an okay season. And I think he deserves another shot. 3 out of 4 years, I think he's been pretty good here. I'd give him a 5th.
Yeah, I would have no problem with that, by the way. And also, I think you have to understand that, in the hunt for the best of the best of the best quarterbacks that we're all in, everybody constantly wants the best of the best of the best quarterbacks. But in a hunt for that, you can't take the risk that suddenly you're going to end up with the worst of the worst of the worst quarterbacks. When you have a pretty good quarterback or an okay quarterback, and you've got a roster that could use other help, I say address the help. I mean, Brock Purdy is not winning games because he's Brock Purdy. He's doing fine, but he's winning games because he's on a roster that's really good top to bottom. I'm a believer in best man available. Make your team better one player at a time. Get your entire roster to be as strong as they can, and then worry about quarterback when the time is right.
Fitz, the Titans are picking 11th. You brought up the quarterbacks in this. You do a lot of college football stuff at ESPN. You talk to a lot of people. How good are these quarterbacks this year? And I'll give you my take afterwards. Your thoughts on the quarterbacks this year, if the Titans think maybe they want Tannehill to be the Alex Smith to the next guy.
I think that Bryce Young has a chance, and I think C.J. Stroud has a chance. I think C.J. Stroud made himself a ton of money in that semifinal game because the book on him from everybody I talked to was that he was afraid to use his feet. And I talked to somebody that actually knows some of the coaches there, and that was part of one of the conversations they had with him is, hey, people don't think you're willing to use your feet. So he went in against Georgia, and he moved around. He was much more mobile. He took opportunities to run the football a little bit and show his willingness to do that. I think CJ made himself a lot of money. The problem with Bryce Young is that we all know he's a little short, but he's also frail. He's just not a big guy. So, there are insiders that have already told me that the Texans, for example, before they went down to number 2, didn't love any of the top 3 quarterbacks. So, I think there are questions to all of them, and we're sitting here saying, like we did last year, we're like, oh, wait till next year and get Caleb Williams or Drake May next year, right? So I think the quarterbacks, if you're telling me that you're going to end up with C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, I understand taking the chance. If you tell me that you're gambling on Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to be capable of starting for at least 2, maybe 3 years. And Will Levis is somebody that he's going to blow up. Everybody's going to love him at the combine, but go back and watch the tape. And there's a lot of really questionable throws that lead to interceptions against bad defenses. And if you're throwing interceptions against Vandy, what are you going to do against an actual NFL defense? I think Will Levis has questionable decision-making that makes me nervous.
So I'm going to tell you what I think. Jason Fitz is with us. I mean, the two guys, Young and Stroud, they should be 1-2. I mean, I'm not in love with any. I mean, I think Young's a great college player. I'm not in love with any of them at the NFL level, but I could see it. Levis had a terrible year and looked terrible, but they had a bad offensive coordinator, and Mel Kiper Jr. thinks this guy, he compares him to Troy Aikman. And I think that's a little rich for me, but I didn't know who Patrick Mahomes was, and obviously Patrick Mahomes is great. I think Anthony Richardson stinks, and if anybody takes Anthony Richardson in the top 10, they should get fired. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on Anthony Richardson. And with Will Levis, you know, I talked to 2 different people at the College Football Playoff Championship game, and they both said the thing is he carries himself like a quarterback. He's a likable dude. He looks like a quarterback. He throws. He can make every throw. He's going to run a wild 40 time that people are going to fall in love with. So all of the intangibles are there, but I mean, there are some questions about the decision-making and turnovers, and that I hear you that his offensive coordinator was a liability last year. I totally agree with that. He's been running a pro-style system that will help him make a faster transition to the pros, but, man, at the same time, bad reads are bad reads, and when you're throwing into triple coverage against bad defenses, I don't understand the read. I don't understand the thought process, so that's what makes me nervous about it, but I don't disagree with some of the mocks. Like, everybody I keep talking to tells me that by the end of it, Will Levis could end up being the top pick in the draft because people are going to fall in love with him at the combine.
Fitz, what do you make of Aaron Rodgers and what's next for him?
It's weird because Aaron Rodgers makes everything complicated, right? But the salary cap hit is so astronomical to the team if he retires or if they have to trade him. I really think that at some point the Packers are just going to go to him and say, what makes you happy? What runs it back for another year? You know, and I don't know if that's the right approach or the wrong approach, but, man, if you want to see Jordan Love, you got to surround him with some things. And if you have to take depending on when he would retire, you take either a $58 million or a $32 million salary cap hit in the same division as the Bears, who have $100 million in cap space to spend. Like, it just feels like you're not going to be able to get yourself any help for Jordan Love. So the ability to analyze Jordan Love gets that much tougher. Like, I think they have to find a way to bring Aaron Rodgers back for another year.
Fitz, you know the cap's fake, right?
You know what?
You know the cap is fake.
Yeah, no, the cap is definitely fake, but still, $32 million of money that's just gone right now is
Fitz,
hard
don't
to
be
account
scaring
for.
these people about the fake cap. It's fake. It's not real. You know it's not real. I know it's not real, but you people on ESPN, and I am pointing the finger right at you right now. I know you can't look at the video stream, but I am literally pointing the finger at you. You people get on TV and talk about the cap all the time. It's not real, and you scare these fans into thinking it is.
I would disagree that it's not real to a certain extent. Like, you got to take a 1 year to get out of it. I mean, it certainly impacted the Falcons taking a $45 million hit.
No, it did not. No, it did not. Why, Fitz? Why did the Falcons move off of Matt Ryan?
They moved off of Matt Ryan because they wanted to get rid of that money and dump it off.
No.
They wanted to be able to use that money elsewhere.
No, they got rid of Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan didn't want to be there anymore. Why did Matt Ryan not want to be there anymore?
Doesn't want to go through a rebuild.
No, because they flirted with Deshaun Watson. They were going after Deshaun Watson. They thought they were going to get him. So they were willing to take the $45 million cap hit that you're talking about, the dead cap charge on Matt Ryan, and they were going to try to sign Deshaun Watson. That's why. You cannot tell me that cap is real. The New Orleans Saints were $70 million in the hole. They didn't release a single player, and they went after.
Get rid of Russell? Then why don't the Broncos get rid of Russell Wilson right now? Because we all know he can't play. Why don't they get rid of Russ?
They have to give him the money. Money's real. The money that's guaranteed is real. Like that, the $150 million to make it go away, that is real. They're not going to do that.
There is a line in the sand where you have to be able to restructure enough contracts and kick the can far enough down the road. And depending on the GM coach situation, your willingness to do that and kick it down the road and never have to try and answer for it change this team by team. I think you're overinflating the ability for the cap to just be nothing. Like, you're right. I don't think a $10 million cap hit is going to make anybody suffer. But we've even seen the Saints go in where they're $100 million over the cap, and suddenly they're losing everybody, and now they're a bad football team. Like, at some point, you are going to have to pay for these cap problems. You're going to have to draft incredibly well, and you're going to have to be able to restock. And
Fitz, that's not why the Saints are bad. That's not why the Saints are bad. You know why the Saints are bad. Because Drew Brees retired.
Right, but ultimately, if you have, like the Bears do, $100 million that you can go out and spend right now, you can make your team. You can't tell me that having a bunch of cap space open didn't help the Jags get better overnight.
Indianapolis has the most cap space in the NFL every year, and they never win anything. Every year. It's Indianapolis, number 2 in cap space, and they never do anything with it.
But in the last 2 years, we've seen massive spending sprees by the Jags and by the Dolphins that both turned into immediate wins because they had the money right then to do it. No, not everybody spends the cap space, but if you have the money to spend, it can make a huge difference.
The Dolphins didn't go to free agency. They traded picks for Tyreek Hill. Now, they ended up paying him.
No. The year before that, when they rebuilt their secondary, they spent more money in one offseason than any team had ever spent in NFL history on a secondary on free agency in the not last year, the year before. And that's how they rebuilt their defense, like, overnight.
I can't even name a player in their secondary.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look it up. We talked about it 100 times. They spent a ton of money on their defense 2 years ago. And that's how they rebuilt their defense overnight. They spent a bunch of cap money. Like, at some point, $45 million, $50 million that you just can't spend this year is significant. Like, you have to restructure so many contracts and push that money down the road that eventually you look at it and say it's not worth the later return.
Do not scare these people about the fake cap. Jason Fitz, as always. Fitz, great stuff, but we'll talk soon.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yep, Jason Fitz. It's too bad that we got to the cap stuff at the end. The fake cap. It's fake. It's fake.
We know you think it's fake.
I don't think it's fake. It is, in fact, fake. Give me the bell. Give me the bell. I think the cap is fake. Thank you. Coming up next, what has happened to this town? And I'm right there with you all in this. But there is something, it hit me last night. I can't get over it. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman & Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and in the past, hair loss was inevitable, but now you have a choice for thicker, fuller hair. Trust the experts with 45 years of experience at Hair Club. They've helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair again. No matter your age, stage of hair loss, or budget, Hair Club can customize a solution for you. And for a limited time, you can get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less. than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, Smashville. Join 102.5 The Game and the Nashville Predators Energy Team at Nobles in East Nashville for the official Bud Light Watch Party tonight at 6. There'll be plenty of beer specials, prizes, and chances to win Preds tickets to an upcoming home game. Go Preds.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The SEC celebrates another title in football. The biggest brand name in the conference in basketball is struggling. Kentucky missed the tournament a couple years ago. Then, as everyone knows, they lost as a 2 seed to St. Peter's last year. But they kept the Naismith Player of the Year, Oscar Tshiebwe. They were ranked 4th to start the season. They enter the night unranked at 10-5 on the season, coming off a 26-point loss at Alabama. Now, in our show meeting, I said, all right, look, let's worry about this weekend. They're at number 5, Tennessee. That's the next big test. They're at home and we're up against South Carolina. If they lose that game, well, they got real problems. Big Blue Nation was already restless. They were 20-point favorites over a team who lost its last game at home by 43 points. 43. John Calipari, 2-14-2 in his career as favorites of at least 17. As I mentioned, they're laying 20. It's a 3-point game. Kentucky looking for the tie. Frederick, no. Tshiebwe gets the rebound. We got to get a 3. Got to get a 3. And they get it to Antonio Reeves. I thought maybe he walked. No, gets the shot up, and we're at zeros, man. South Carolina, a stunner, a win and up for the first time since 2009. Here's Coach Cal's response to the frustrated fans.
I mean, I always say this isn't for everybody, including coaches. It's not for everybody. When things go bad like this, there's, you know. So if you want to be mad at me.
I hope I didn't lose the audience with that return right there. But last night, Kentucky lost to South Carolina, and all the Kentucky fans are mad at Calipari, but he's got a contract that they can't get out of. And so that's not the important part here. Last night, it hit me. This town, it's just a different town. It hit me. I was riding the bike last night. I actually said this to Ian before the show was over. I said to Ian off the air, I was like, what's on tonight? No hockey game. Obviously, no football game. I'm like, what? Like, what's on TV tonight? What are we watching? And Ian was like, well, you know, there's the Vandy UT basketball game.
I watched a lot of hockey, non-Preds hockey, but that's just me.
And so I'm on the bike last night, and I've got, you know, my headphones on, and I'm just flipping through the TV while I'm listening, you know, to a podcast, whatever. And I'm just looking for something to watch, and there's the Kentucky-South Carolina game, and I click it. And I'm just kind of watching the movement, the colors as they move across the screen. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, watching college basketball in the regular season is literally like watching paint dry. It is so freaking boring. I tried to watch Vandy and UT last night, and that was actually a close game, which I'm kind of shocked by because I think Vandy's pretty bad. And yet, it still was just dribbles up the floor, passes it, shoots it, rebounds it, dribbles it back up the floor. It's like I'm watching golf. I mean, I don't know what happened in this town because the way it used to be, and I'm not against this. Like, I'm the one who's bored by college basketball, and I know you all are too. But the way it used to be in this town It used to be that when football season, and by that I mean Titan season, when football season was over, then everybody would pay attention to college basketball. Like the SEC, Tennessee had Bruce Pearl, Florida had Billy Donovan, Kentucky had Tubby Smith, and they were still kind of good. And Vandy with Shane Foster and Derek Byers, they had fun teams to watch. Like college basketball mattered around here. And I'm just telling you all, college basketball does not move the needle at all in Nashville, Tennessee. Nobody in Nashville, Tennessee. I shouldn't say nobody because then that one person who does care will text in, but very few people care about it. Now it's like Titan season's over, and now it's Titans off season. It's football. Mix a little hockey in here. Hockey still hasn't really hit its prime for this season. With this team, who knows? It may never hit its prime this year. But, I mean, maybe it's because we're a pro sports town now. Maybe it's because Vanderbilt stinks and has stunk for a while. I don't know. But, man, I do not think I'm alone in saying that college basketball has just fallen off a cliff. And then I hear the idea about Calipari getting fired at Kentucky or leaving or whatever, and I'm like, no, you can't lose Calipari at Kentucky because he's like Barry Bonds or the Chicago Cubs. Once Barry Bonds broke the record and was out of baseball, there was no more Barry Bonds to boo at. When the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, it was like, look at all the people partying in the streets that haven't seen the Cubs win in 106 years. But the problem is now, the next time the Cubs go to the playoffs, nobody cares. Just like the Red Sox. Red Sox won the World Series in 2004. It was the biggest story in America, and then nobody cared. Now, the tournament, people will care about the NCAA basketball tournament because it is perfect for this society's attention span, which is flip on a game. I don't need to know any of the players or any of the coaches. I flip on the game. Maybe I've thrown some shekels on it. I look up in the screen. I see in the top left-hand corner that right now on TNT, Valparaiso and Michigan State are locked up with 7 minutes to go. Flip to that game. They're inbounding the ball, 6 seconds. He shoots. Oh, he missed it. Oh, no. Like, that's what the NCAA tournament's about, and that will not change. And then after the first weekend of the tournament every year, everybody thinks they know everything about every team, and then they're in it. And so it lasts a month, and these games last about 2 hours, and the time that you pay attention to these games lasts about 30 minutes, so the tournament is still great. But regular college basketball, regular season, oh, God. And I used to love that stuff as a kid. I used to love it. Big Monday, get Syracuse and North Carolina. Now I'm like, oh, great. Basketball. And I'm not a basketball hater, I promise. I grew up loving college basketball. I went to a college basketball school. I worked in college basketball. I was on the radio in a college basketball market. It's just college basketball. I don't know if it's the NIL, the one and done. I don't know. It's just not the same.
Feels like it's a combination of a few different things.
Coach K's not there anymore. All the old coaches are out. You know, you still have Boeheim, but his teams stink. He looks like he's asleep on the bench. Got Calipari, but now that you can pay the players, it's not as much fun to hate Calipari anymore. This town does not give two poops about college basketball. And I'm not mad at you all for not caring about college basketball because I'm right there with you. You think Joe feels the same way?
I do not, no.
Basketball Joe?
He'll watch any game anywhere.
Basketball Joe's
on
like,
his computer,
what do you
on
mean
his
you
phone.
didn't watch Arizona last night take on Lafayette State?
St. Mary's put up a great fight.
Come on. Like, Joe, come on now. Jared versus Joe is next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Tennessee touchdown.
Middle Tennessee
Tennessee gets the score.
We live the game.
Just work on the little things every day.
They think the coaches are just coaches.
We are.
Branks and he scores.
On both sides of the ball.
One big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
Max Hers in for Pete Weber with your Preds Report for this Wednesday, January the 11th. The Predators continue their perfect road trip in Toronto tonight against the Maple Leafs. Nashville is 3-0 on this trip so far. Most recently, a 3-0 win against the Senators on Monday for the team's first shutout of the season. UC Saros was in goal for it and now has 102 combined saves in 2 starts on this road trip, both Preds wins. Those 102 saves across back-to-back regular season starts, the 7th most in NHL history. Juice is red hot. And so are the Preds. Winners of 4 in a row will visit the Maple Leafs tonight. Puck drop at 6:30. Pre-game coverage starting at 5:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
The Electronic Express New Year's blowout sale is going on now. Come into any of our convenient locations for the guaranteed lowest prices on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, KitchenAid, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop great deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. The team is looking to build off 4 wins in a row, as they are currently 1 point behind Edmonton for the final playoff spot. Reports out of Toronto are Maple Leafs forward Austin Matthews will not play tonight. We will have pregame coverage at 5:30 with puck drop at 6:30 right here on the Preds Radio Network. The Tennessee Titans offseason interviews continue. NFL Network is reporting that 49ers assistant GM Adam Peters has declined a request to interview for the Titans GM position. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin has been released from the hospital and will continue to rehab at home. And in other NFL playoff news, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson still has not practiced and is considered a long shot to play in the wild card round. And Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators continue their road trip against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coverage begins at 5:30 on your home for Smashville. WPRT FM Pegram, WBUC HD2 Laverne, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Boy, I tell you, I'm feeling okay about myself. 65% on the 2022 official Jared Stillman self-assessment of Titans takes. But it's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, which means Joe Rexroad joins us for Jared versus Joe. Caroline, good to see you. How are you?
Hey, doing great. How we doing over there, Mr. 65%er?
Thank you. Super. That's a D, but I can live with it. Joe is with us as well. Joe.
Wait, what is the 65%?
I went through my biggest takes of the year for Titans football, and I ended up correct 65% of the time.
You were right 65% of the time.
He deemed himself correct 65% of the time.
Thank you, Ian.
Sounds good. Okay.
With that,
That adds up.
With that, it's time for Jared versus Joe.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexroad. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Caroline, the floor is yours.
I would just like everybody to know that we are not starting at 0-0. Jared has started already knocked down a point for calling me out in his Titans takes when I'm not even there to defend myself.
Which one did I call you out on?
When you said, oh, well, Joe and Caroline said that, that the season will be over because Harold Landry got hurt. And you also lumped A.J. Brown into that as well. And need I remind you that you were pro A.J. Brown take?
No, that's a different take. And hey, Ian, back me up on this. I dinged myself for the A.J. Brown trade. But the take was, at the beginning of the year, it was at 2 o'clock. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I said I was bummed out because they are screwed without A.J. Brown and Harold Landry, because this was after we had seen them in practice and we knew that Treylon Burks was not a sure thing. And you were like, I don't think they're screwed. And I was like, oh, they're screwed. Remember, we found out.
I still stand by that. I don't think that the Titans were screwed because of Harold Landry.
Remember, we found out that Harold Landry got hurt at like 2 o'clock. And then at 3 o'clock, we had TD on. And we were talking about Weaver and what it would mean. And I processed it. And then at 4 o'clock, I was like, they're screwed. Screwed. And
I remember when we found out and you were sitting in your chair with just a blank stare.
I was like,
you were almost hypnotized.
Well, we were trying to figure out that whole Derrick Henry. Titans made it sound like they were being nice to Derrick Henry to redo his contract, and then we figured out why they did it.
Oh, yeah, because he was been working so hard, and they love him so dearly. So
really
here's a
nice
raise.
All right, let's go.
All right, okay. First question, Joe, you go first. Should the Titans move on from Tannehill? If so, why? If not, who else?
No, I'm going to say no. I think that right now, the way things are set up, I think that they should go another year with Tannehill and try to fix the offensive line, try to fix the receivers, try to hope and pray that they get some regression on the health front. And, of course, if they get regression on the health front, my God, they're going to be like superhuman next year. So I think right now, look, what I can't answer is, do they feel any of these guys, like in the draft, are like you have to do anything you can to get one of them? If they do, fine. I mean, that's on them. But based on the information I have, I like these quarterbacks. I like Stroud and Young, but I don't think it's worth mortgaging everything to get one of those guys to then have nothing around them to then be terrible. And then, at what point does Amy Adams-Strunk then say, well, time for a new coach and GM? I think that, your best chance, the best odds are to stick with him. I was impressed with what he did this year, considering the circumstances, and, just do everything you can to fix it. There's a lot of things to fix. It won't be easy. It's a tough conference, but I think that's the way you got to go.
A couple of months ago, they reported on the Sunday pregame shows, I forget which one it was and who reported it, but that the Lions were pushing forward with Jared Goff. And I remember thinking because Goff's doing a good enough job that they don't think that any of these quarterbacks that they're going to be able to draft, and they're going to have a good pick because they got the Rams pick, that any of these quarterbacks they'd be able to pick are better than Jared Goff. So then why would then you stay with Jared Goff? To me, Tannehill's due $27 million this year. That's not a lot of money for a quarterback. Now, I know there's the signing bonus and that phony baloney fake cap that you guys care about, but he's due $27 million out of the owner's pocket. That is not a lot of money for a quarterback. Deshaun Watson is due 46. Russell Wilson is due 49. Kyler Murray will be hurt this year, and he's not that good, and he's due 46. So
Russell's not good either.
Russell's terrible. But, I mean, which I dinged myself for in the self-assessment, but
good.
Tannehill at $27 million. I think this, if you believe that the offensive coordinator sucked, that the receivers suck, and that the line sucks, then I think you have to think Tannehill did a pretty decent job. And all the other guys, to me, it's Tannehill, Carr, Matt Ryan, Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield. Now, if you can get me Brady, Rodgers, or Lamar, that's a different story. But I kind of just feel like most of the quarterbacks that aren't Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are kind of the same. And Tannehill's one of the same. And so I only got to pay him $27 million, and I can maneuver the baloney cap number however I want. I'll stay with Tannehill.
By the way,
next
Fitz
question.
and I have been. Oh, sorry. Real quick, I just want to let you know, Fitz and I have been texting, just laughing at you and your fake cap crap. My God, stop it.
Oh,
Just
Fitz
stop.
was like, the Atlanta Falcons were bad this year because of the salary cap. I'm like, no, they were bad this
that's
year.
not what he said.
They went after Deshaun Watson. That's why Matt Ryan left.
I know, Jared. I know.
The Saints are bad because of the salary cap. No, they're not. The
No,
Saints are
that's
bad
not what he
because
said either.
Drew Brees retired. That's why they're
You
bad.
change the argument. No, this is what you do. No one was talking about why are the Saints bad, but then because you can't argue that they've had cap cuts, which they absolutely have, then you just go to, well, they're bad because Drew Brees left. That's fine.
Who?
But the salary cap exists.
Who?
Oh, Terron,
Who did they cut?
Are you kidding me? Oh, just get out of here with your crap. It's like
You
we're
mean
not
the
gonna sit here
the
whole time-
offensive tackle with a hole in his arm?
Yes, Jared, there are tons of cap cuts that they and other teams have had to do because the cap is real. It's malleable, it's pushable, and you can mortgage things, but it does exist. Stop it. It's stupid.
Fake. Caroline.
On to the next. Jared, you go first. You both agree Ryan Tannehill should come back. Should Derrick Henry be a Titan next year?
Yeah, I if I'm doing the Tannehill thing, I'm doing the Henry thing. First off, I think Henry, and this gets lost because once the final game's over, nobody ever cares about the final game unless it's like the AFC Championship game against Kansas City when you knew that massive changes weren't coming. But for the most part, the last game of the year is like a throwaway game. You don't get to break it down. I thought Derrick Henry played great against Jacksonville. I did. I thought he ran the ball well. I know he's got a fumbling problem, and he's going to have to get that figured out. I mean, I think Mike Vrabel was non-committal, not because he doesn't like Derrick Henry or want Derrick Henry back, but I think he wants the new GM to feel like he has an actual say in all of this. I think if you're running it back with Tannehill, you're running it back with Henry. He's the best player on the team. I don't see any reason why you'd move on from him. He's got to figure out the fumbling, and I'd like to get another back in there that can get some carries as well. And the passing game's got to be better, but I'm bringing Derrick Henry back. And I'm not going to say I don't see any regression with Derrick, because I do. I do think Derrick's slowing down a tick, but it's still better than anything else you got. I'm staying with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he had 1,500 yards, was 100 yards off the rushing title, missing a game behind that offensive line. I mean, I don't know what else you need to say. He did lose a step this year. So he lost a step to be a 1,500-yard back behind a terrible offensive line. I mean, he's absolutely – yeah, those two – I mean, I could see Henry here and not Tannehill, but I cannot see Tannehill here and not Henry. And, again, fix the offensive line, get some more help outside, and you still could have a really good offense. Let's remember, 2 years ago, they were one of the best offenses in the NFL. They also had one of the worst defenses 2 years ago. Things changed quickly in this league.
And they should have a better coordinator. So that should help everything out, as opposed to this guy. Caroline?
On to the next. Joe, you go first. Does anyone care about college basketball?
I do. I love college basketball.
I know you do.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I love college basketball, especially, I mean, I love this time of year. I love the conference races. We get great games every night. Shoot, Alabama, Arkansas tonight, pumped. I'm in. I'm all in. Last night,
I didn't even know they were playing.
It's a great game. Last night I watched several games. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, do the same number of people who care about football care about college basketball? Of course not. But do people care about it? Yeah. I mean, I would say, a lot of the people who care about it care about filling out their bracket in March, and then they really care about it for a month, but that's okay.
So March is a different story because I believe that the NCAA basketball tournament is perfect for the attention span of America today because you don't even have to watch the whole games. Everybody, to your point, fills out a bracket, and then on that Thursday and Friday, they're just kind of sitting there and they're watching something, and then they see in the top left corner, oh my God, can you believe this? Canisius, a 15 seed, is up by 6 points with 11 minutes to go on Arkansas right now. Click, and then they watch that, and then they're on to the next game. And then after the first weekend of the tournament, everybody becomes an expert in college basketball, and which really I think bothers the Joes of the world, the basketball heads. But I do believe that as far as like the conference races that Joe was talking about, what I used to care about as a kid, literally nobody except for Joe cares about that. Joe and Dick Vitale
just me.
Are the only two people in America. I feel like Dickie V's like, what do you mean you don't care about college basketball? It's awesome, baby. It's like, no, it's boring. Well, tonight's Arkansas-Alabama game, off. No, thank you. Do we have football on tonight? Hockey on tonight? Do we have something on tonight? We got hockey. We got the Preds on tonight. Pass on Arkansas-Alabama, Joe. You enjoy that one. Tell me what happens.
Well, I'll tell
on
you
March
what
13th, tell me what happens. Don't tell me in January.
That's fine. I'll tell you what will happen. Every single seat will be occupied in that arena, and it will be one of the most raucous sports environments you will see. I will be at Thompson Bowling Arena Saturday. Every single seat will be occupied in that arena. It will be ear-splitting. So you're going to sit here and tell me nobody...
The Sounds packed the stadium, Joe. And no disrespect to the Sounds because I love the Sounds, but the Sounds are minor league baseball.
Yes. People do like to go out in the summer and sit in a beer garden and drink beer. You're right, Jared. Get out of here, man.
I mean, if you're using the argument that people go to it, people go to the Sounds. And nobody even knows who their manager is. Who is the manager of the Sounds, Joe?
Well, right. No, that's your argument, dummy. I'm not going to – what are you, flipping that on me? You're comparing the Sounds to this. Get out of here.
Serious question, though. Let's say you write a column on UT basketball. No. You write a column on Vandy basketball. What does that compare to with a column on Ryan Tannehill in terms of readership?
Let me tell you something. First of all, I'm going to be careful here because I'm not supposed to sit here and tell you, here's this, does this. Let me promise you, last year when the Vols were doing well, it was really good. Really good. People were absolutely wrapped up in it. That's big college fan bases. If you get a good team, same thing with baseball, people get into it, man. They absolutely get into it. So, yeah, you're misguided in your question. Let me promise you that.
Was Vols basketball getting more readership than Titans from you?
Dude, I'm not going there.
I'm not asking you the numbers. I'm asking you you which one.
I don't think you're trying to get me in trouble. I'm not going to go. It's very
how
people are into it, man.
How would that get you in trouble? To say that more people read the Titans than the Vols. Let's vote.
Move on.
Let's vote. Should Joe tell us what more people read, the Vols or the Titans?
I don't think.
No, Jared.
I don't think I should.
Why do you say no? You don't want to know the answer to that?
Well, of course I do, but Joe is literally saying he will get in trouble if he says it.
How will he get in trouble? How will he get in trouble?
I don't think that's something that I'm supposed to be sharing, so just move on.
Joe Rexrode fired from The Athletic today. Why were you fired? I told people that more people like football than basketball. Unbelievable. What's next, Caroline?
Next question. Preds have been on a 4-game win streak.
Here they come.
They're good. Not great. Who gets credit for the wins and who gets blamed for the losses? Jared, you go first.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, I think that the coach should get all the credit because I listened to the morning show yesterday when David Poyle was asked about how they started scoring, and he said you got to credit the coach and the change in the system. And the morning show host did not push back that less than a month ago, he said you can't blame the coach for the lack of scoring and that the systems are good. So then we must give it to the coach. I've been blaming the coach. So if the team is starting to turn it around, and I think this is the patented John Hines, second half, play well enough, get you in the playoffs, I think that that's what's coming. They're going to get in the playoffs. They're going to lose, and then on we go with it. Could be wrong about it. I don't know. But if I'm going to be down on the coach, then I'm going to say that the coach is responsible for why they're scoring and winning these games right now. I am not going to be like David Poyle and tell you it's not the coach and it's the player's fault, and then all of a sudden, less than a month later, say that the good things are happening and it's the coach who deserves the credit. I'm not going to do that. I thought that was ridiculous yesterday on old Robbie and Rex Road.
I mean, that word salad, I mean, I have no idea what you just said there. But I think what you're referring to is he was talking about how they switched up the system, which they've been talking about for a few weeks, trying to get the puck up the ice faster and whatever. I'm sure that helped. If that's something that helps, then what they did before was on them, right? I mean, it's the exact same amount of blame or credit for both sides.
Yes.
When it's good or it's bad, it's more important. Players are more important than the coaches. We all know that, right? We can all agree on that. Like the players in this league, that's why coaches just get fired left and right because ultimately they're
not
playing
here.
The same game. The systems aren't that different. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things people don't ever get fired here. But I mean, if this question is so Jared can tee off on the interview yesterday, the interview was ending. And we had to go to break, and I didn't see any huge problem. The big point of that interview was the Tolvanen stuff, which, frankly, I was actually pretty impressed with. David Poyle took the blame or potential blame for that. I think that's kind of refreshing that someone actually do that and say, yeah, it's on me if we screwed up. But, of course, people are flipping out about that, too. So why not? Just get pissed about everything.
I don't think anybody should be upset about the fact that David Poyle took the blame. I think people should be upset about the fact that David Poyle screwed it up.
So you think that this Tolvanen thing is going to end up being this like, here goes Ellie Tolvanen. He was a star all along. Is that what you think?
I mean, look, I got no opinion on that. What I will say is that if Ellie Tolvanen does become a star, like let's say Ellie Tolvanen becomes Kevin Fiala, that we don't have problems.
Well, if he becomes Kevin Fiala, then that becomes the new worst move by David Poyle, and there's a lot of candidates. Right now, it's not even on the radar for me because I don't think I think we saw what Tolvanen was. I understand that you think that that Forsberg was his floor, an all-time hilarious take by you, but I think we saw what he was here.
Hey, he's playing better than Forsberg right now in Seattle.
Okay.
Putting that puck in the net.
He had 3 goals.
Putting that puck in the net. Yes. Caroline, who wins Jared versus Joe this week?
I think we all agree, the three of us agree, the best move for the Titans, run it back with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, on board with that. And look, I got a text from somebody the other day saying, oh my gosh, are you freaking out? And I was like, what? About what? And he was like, LSU Arkansas basketball. And I was like, I said, I didn't even know that they're playing. I was watching Ole Miss Texas Tech in a bowl game instead. So, look, I don't really care about college basketball right now. I'll be completely honest with you. Do more people care about a multi-billion-dollar organization in the NFL than they care about January college basketball? Yes, but there is still a group of people, small and niche, but they still care about college basketball. Joe wins this week.
Oh, you know better than that. You don't care about college basketball. Here's
that doesn't mean nobody does.
2 people.
Here's the question. Here's the question.
You're anecdotal. I love your fact gathering, man.
Do more people care? Would it be better on the radio to talk Nashville SC than it would be college basketball?
No.
I don't know the answer to that, and that's sad.
Oh, please.
Guys,
yes, you do.
Much appreciated. We'll have a longer Jared versus Joe next week.
Thanks.
There you go, Joe and Caroline.
Rick Sweet, manager of the Sounds.
Hey, I like Rick Sweet. Joe and Caroline, as always, Jared versus Joe right there. 615-737-1025. TriStar Moving. Those are my official movers. I would love to tell you about TriStar Moving. I love TriStar Moving. I moved with them 2 years ago. It was the smartest move I ever made. And no, I did not have that pun intended to say it. But I always tell people when it comes to moving, if you're thinking about moving, just get a bid from TriStar. Why? Because in the process, you'll work with their sales staff. You'll learn how great they are. And they really are. They've got great movers that are highly trained that I trust with my stuff. So you'll trust them with your stuff. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, local Nashville dudes, good friends of mine. And they love serving their Middle Tennessee community. It is really a family feeling when you move with TriStar. So if you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219. Or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio, and they'll give you 10% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Every Wednesday at 8:45. Call. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:45 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week in Vanderbilt history, January 10th, 2006. Finally, a happy ride home from Lexington as the Commodores defeat Kentucky at Rupp Arena for the first time in 29 tries, 57-52. Vandy great Shane Foster hit key shots and scored 16 as Kevin Stallings' team improved to 11-2 on the season and 2-0 in the SEC. The black and gold jumped out to a hot start and later held off a run by the Cats, who raced a 14-point deficit to take the lead. The 2 free throws by Julian Terrell pushed the Commodores in front for good. Vanderbilt was outstanding from the free throw line, going 21 of 25. JT had 11 points and 8 rebounds. Damari Carroll scored 15 with 11 boards, and Derek Byers put up 12 points on the night. The win was the first in Lexington for a Commodore team since 1974, when the Wildcats played at Memorial Coliseum. A long-awaited victory and part of the season sweep of UK, and Vandy actually won at Rupp Arena again the following season. Commodores 57, Kentucky 52 in January 2006. This week in Vanderbilt history, I'm Kevin Ingram.
Hey, it's Jared with my friends at Hiller. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. Get a free 55-inch TV, Apple iPad, Solo Stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase new whole home generators or select new HVAC systems. Or a free 55-inch TV, Nintendo Switch, or Solo Stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of necessary home replacements, so call Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. This is Smashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Buying or selling, or even thinking about buying or selling, talk to my realtor, TJ Anderson. He's taken care of 2 homes for me and done even more for my friends. I have no hesitation in referring them to him and his wonderful staff. If you're looking to sell your property free and clear, ask TJ how he's having success marketing those properties. Let's go right into our final thoughts, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. 4 in a row. Let's make it 5. The Predators believe they're starting to score some goals. It will be an up-and-down entertaining game tonight on national TV against a good team. Chase has got the pregame next.
What's up, everybody? It's Michelle Knezovic for Superbook Sports, and this is your New Year's resolution: win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you'll get the best odds boosts anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at